Greetings, everyone. Welcome to Schoolstone, your weekend afternoon show. I am joined today by Agent PWE. PWE, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Lotus?
I'm doing well. We have quite a packed weekend today. I think we have some insane matches. I'm excited.
Oh
Um,
yeah, I think it's going to be really good. I think the we'll see a lot of new decks coming up from the new mini expansion that came out last week.
yeah, I think so. We're just getting started. 1 second. There's a wrong image here that I'm fixing on the spot. Okay, done. Okay, so today we have three matches for you. We're going to start with JRJuggerlaw versus TacoCat, which is a really hot legacy match for Silver Series. And then we're going to follow with two pro matches, basedinc versus Griff, for NoProsHere versus Sushi Rats, BillSnyder versus Mayanadon for Tap Washers versus Popeyes Spicy Chicken Sandwich. So some really hot matches here. I'm excited for all of them. What do you think?
Yeah, I think all these matches are really good. Uh, I might be a little biased going into the second one, given
Sure.
that basedinc is my teammate on No Pros here.
Yeah.
So looking forward to taking the win on that one. I believe
Yeah.
in based, very good player.
Yes.
As is the rest of the field though. So it might be tough. We'll see.
I think all matches are going to be tough, honestly. It's one of those that I really don't know what's going to happen because you can see all these players are insane. I've played with many of them, and I think all of them could be good 1, 2 seeds in all series, and just they're all awesome. So I'm curious to see what decks are going to be we're going to be seeing here because it's still relatively unstable meta-wise. There's just a lot going on.
Yeah, I
Let's
suspect we'll see a lot of different decks today. But
Yeah,
I think deck choice will be especially important this week
I
for
think so too.
determining who gets a win.
I think so. Let's take a look at the first match. Let's zoom into it since that's the one we're going to begin with. We have JRJuggerlaw from IDK versus TacoCat. TacoCat, who's had an insane season so far. Um, JR just climbed his way onto the 2 seed spot for IDK with a 3-2 record, and TacoCat with a 4-1 record for the Flame Pimps. So really strong records. We have JR with the Druid, the Paladin, the Rogue, and the Warrior versus TacoCat with the Demon Hunter, Druid, Rogue, and Warrior. So tell me a little bit about what you would expect when you see these classes. I think the big difference here is JR sporting the Paladin versus TacoCat with the Demon Hunter.
Yeah, so with the two lineups both share in common the Druid Rogue Warrior, I think that you'll see a token druid of some kind. I think recently the like low curve gibberling druid has been what's most popular, but dragon druid, which runs Ysera and Cenarian Ward, that I've heard is does really well against Enrage Warrior, which is most likely what they'll be bringing as their warrior decks. So I wouldn't be surprised if they brought the higher curve version of the token druids.
Yeah.
Um, Rogue, I don't think has changed very much. There is some secret rogue or and some aggro rogue which runs some new cards, but I could also see them just playing the old combo rogue with maybe one new card in it with the nitro boost poison.
Yeah.
And with
Um
Paladin, I don't know. How do you feel about Paladin? Do you think that they would be bringing the new cheese ramp Paladin, or do you think JR has enough respect to play a more skillful deck?
Honestly, versus TacoCat's lineup, I would like to see Pure. I think Pure Paladin has a really good score, especially we do know the bans now. JR banned the Rogue versus TacoCat banning the Warrior. I actually would like to see JR bring Pure Paladin here.
Yeah, I think Pure Paladin could stand a good shot. I haven't really played much of the deck, but if you're able to draw well enough, I think it can stop the Rogue and definitely the Demon Hunter. I suspect it'd be OTK. You can put enough pressure
Oh,
and just kill them.
yeah, JR banned the Rogue, but it can definitely stop Warrior and Demon Hunter depending on the Warrior deck.
Oh, yeah, he already stopped the Rogue by banning it before the game started.
But I think we're going to have a match. I'll give them the green light so they can start queuing and we can talk more about what you think they'll open with. So are you of the opinion that opening choices matter or not?
I think that opening choice does matter. I think that uh, I mean it matters a little bit. It's more than just randomly picking a deck.
Right.
There's specific niche situations though where it matters more. Um,
Sure.
it would require a lot of discussion that is probably not relevant in closed deck list.
Sure.
But like in open deck list, if you have a deck that's extremely unfavored, or they have one deck that's extremely unfavored, then it's like kind of relevant. But I don't think it. I think they can really get away with playing anything here.
Yeah, I think especially in THL, it matters a lot more because the number of wins you get matters. There's a big
Yeah, that
difference
too.
versus tournament because in a tournament, it's like if you lose 2-1, you lost as much as if you lost 2-0. So it's very different when you're talking about THL, where really a 2-1 loss is better than a 2-0 loss.
Yeah, for sure. I one thing that I do like is with high roll decks, which the paladin might be. I like queuing those first because I want the maximum amount of tries to try and high roll.
Yeah,
So if JR is playing the ramp paladin, I'd like to see him queue that first.
yeah. We're going to start with TacoCat's Warrior versus JR's Rogue. So JR is bringing a Secret Rogue with the new card Sparkjoy Cheat, and TacoCat seems to be bringing Enrage.
Uh, yeah, I think the Enrage Warrior is just really strong against most rogues. So I suspect that if Taco Cat is able to get off, like he has this risky skipper already in the battle rage, and if he's able to throw even just like one armor smith into the mix, I think he'll have a good shot of just
Mm-hmm.
clearing JR's face down to zero with all his minion pressure.
Yeah. This is a very weird list JR is bringing. I have no idea what's going on.
Yes, I agree. I am not entirely sure. I do like this play though. There is 8 damage going
Yeah?
to Taco Cat's face, and he needs to answer that, which he might do with a battle rage.
Do you mean with
Um,
Inner Rage?
oh, yep, no, not with battle. I mean, he could battle rage, inner rage, but I would not recommend that. Inner rage, 0 mana ping. Um, he he won't miss it too much. If he had the Warmaul Challenger, he would have definitely preferred to play that. But
Right.
just getting the 5-1 off the board is pretty important.
Right. I like that JR gets to play what I consider to be one of the most underrated cards of all times in Lillian. That card, I've had such great experience with it. It feels so good.
Yeah, I think Lillian is it's a pretty good card in some decks. I'm not sure exactly with secret decks if it's what I'd want to use a card slot on, but
Right.
like in stealth rogues or even just as a card in one of in Highlander rogue because you need to come up with 30 different cards. I think it's
Right.
really strong itself.
Yeah. Taco Cat also has a really strong play here, just basically doing everything. He drew, he got some cards out.
And it looks like Taco Cat was not expecting the secrets in this
No.
rogue, and I don't blame him.
Especially not expecting the 2-2, because I don't think most people play this in their rogues.
No, I don't believe that is the case either. It's looking like JR is deciding whether he wants to play this Nitro Boost Poison, and he elects against it. perhaps hoping maybe he has another weapon in his deck, or he just wants it on a 2 durability weapon.
Mm-hmm. So is this going to be a bear off turn? I think that's what I would be asking
Uh,
myself.
the Lillian is kind of awkward. He could punch the Lillian and take 8, which seems sketchy,
Yeah.
but he could maybe somehow throw a minion into the mix and then punch the Lillian and hope the second Lillian trades. Um, but yeah, I think he's gonna need to clean up some of this board somehow because he doesn't have like big Korkron burst potential in hand right now, and his opponent's at 30. So
Right.
he chooses to get the 1/8 in play and draw 2 with Battle Rage.
That is an armor smith, which is kind of what exactly what you need in this lineup or in this
Yeah, I
matchup.
think the Armor Smith will be crucial. If not next turn, then in 2 turns for TacoCat to stabilize and hopefully draw a Battle Rage by then too.
Yeah.
This is a very interesting list that JR is playing. Do
Right.
you think it's a mix of stealth and secret, or do you think there's also weapons in there too?
I don't know that you can fit everything. There was a very old list that mixed stealth and secret, but this was at Outlands, I think. This was when it came out. I haven't seen a list that mixes the two in quite a while.
No, I think that knowing how aggressive this rogue is actually might be okay against this warrior, assuming that this risky skipper armor smith is not coming down, which it is. So I think JR is going to be a little sad, but he has a good follow up with Jandis next turn.
Yeah.
Would you like to copy the armor smith with the
Yes.
bloodsworn?
I don't even think you have a choice here.
No, it's just so much armor, and you
Yeah.
uh, you also put more minions for Lillian to potentially trade into.
I think you need the combo. Just hopefully Lillian hits the 2-1. That's what TacoCat is really wanting to do. I would consider
Although
an raging here. 4-1 is a lot of damage. You want to minimize damage as much as you can.
yep, I don't mind it. I think that he's hoping that JR is running out of stuff, uh, but we'll see. He has some card draw in hand, and he
Yeah.
chooses to draw more cards. So, what do you think JR's plan is to win this game?
So I actually think the best plan he can make is probably Jandis Bamboozle at this point. That's a pretty interesting plan, I think. But also just going with stealth and keeping the pressure on. We know his opponent doesn't have the second armor smith yet. Or the second skipper either. But there's an Ankar in hand that could draw that at any moment.
Also, another thing to point out is this cash. I assume it draws the cleave weapon, cleaves this board pretty perfectly. I mean, it doesn't have a spell to spell burst it, but if that was a thing that
Yeah.
could happen, uh, it's positioned a little awkwardly for that.
Yeah. I kind of like just playing Ankar, probably going face. I don't think I care as much about a 1-7 as I care about gaining armor and keeping myself healthy, but I think this is a fair play.
Yeah, yeah. I think the 1/7 gave him 1 armor, so I mean, it's half of a shield block, and it gives you a 1/7. I think it's reasonable for sure.
Yeah. I would have gone just making it a 1-1 instead of a 1-7, but this is fair. I really don't like this play.
I don't know what's in JR's deck, so I can't like criticize him on it necessarily. But I suspect that this is not what you want to be doing.
I mean, this really looks like the opposite of what you want to do with this deck to me. You want the Jandis down, especially since you have the Bamboozle. That is an 8-drop.
With the Jandis and the Bamboozle, do you ever choose the like worst minion to have the 1 HP because you want it to get bamboozled? I mean, it's obviously not going to be relevant now, but if that were a thing to come up,
You can.
I
I
think
think
there's
you
some
can.
interesting mind games with that. But
Yeah.
it kind of became a 4/4 and then instantly died to the Blood Boil Brutes. So not a scenario we will see this game.
No. I do think this looks to me like JR is looking for the perfect Jandis opportunity, while he could just play for good enough Jandises and win here.
Yeah, I think he might be looking for Jandis into 2 of the Rhinos or into Tundra Rhino or like the Trample Rhinos or
Yeah.
Tundra Rhino and another beast because it's looking quite sketchy right now, I'll admit.
And he still doesn't play the Jandis. Unless he
There
has
must be
2
cards in this
Abysses.
deck that he's played one of this, but I'm not sure. I think he kind of is committed to going face, so I'd like to see this Abyss go face, even though I don't believe in 4
No.
damage coming.
No.
He
And
does
he's
have
dead.
Jandis, and he's dead. Well, he's not dead on board, which is the important thing.
Well, he knows he returned the Sword Eater, so he
Oh,
has to trade.
okay, he does. He has to trade. Okay, he did bounce the sword either. So
Yeah.
I do respect abyssing the minions so that you're alive. I think that's better than being dead.
Right. The fact that he didn't play the 2-drop before the Secret Passage, if he was going that route, kind of made it a lot weaker.
Yeah, being able to drop the Greyheart Sage for card draw would have been really good. I don't know if he was fishing for like a Wand Thief. I don't know if that would make it into this list, but
Right.
that's what I only could have imagined was what he was looking for if he had it in his deck. I'd personally like to see TacoCat hit the hero power button, even though we know that there's basically no way that JR is going to kill him. I think just he has so many minions on board that being alive is good,
Yeah.
and being even more alive is basically means that you will survive to punch him in the face next turn.
Right. I especially like it with the taunt here, because the taunt, there are cards rogues can play that benefit a lot from being able to attack face with charge, like the South Sea Deckhand.
And I don't believe those minions are enough.
No. And JR concedes the first game.
I think that's a very interesting rogue deck. I'm wondering if it was designed to beat a different deck of TacoCats in particular.
I'm wondering if that's a deck to beat the Druid in particular, because the Druid does not like facing some of these.
Yeah, I think the Druid depends on which kind of Druid it is.
Right.
Um, it could Druids if it gets the board early against secrets, it's like kind of doesn't care. But if it's one that waits till like turn fives to play the Glowfly Swarm,
Right.
which never happens, they always cheat it out earlier than that. But if they do, uh, then just all the early minion pressure should be enough to just the rogue to get under
Mhm.
the druid before they're able to do anything.
Yeah. I mean, the other way you beat Druids is with an early Edwin slash questing, which you would need to bring Whirl Kick to be able to do.
That is true. You'd also have to have Edwin and questing in your deck, which I'm not confident is the
Mhm.
case.
TacoCat is bringing the Gibberling Druid. So just to talk a little bit about Druid, there's kind of 3 main Druid variants around the way I see it, which are the Gibberling line, the Spell line, and the Dragon line. They're not that different, but they kind of form the 3 ways you can build your token Druid.
Mhm. You see, TacoCat is on the Gibberling Druid, and he has Gibberling in his opening hand going second, which is what
Yeah.
you would want to see if you were playing the deck.
Yeah. I might have kept the power there, but this is a really hot start.
So would you play this Gibberling turn 1, or do you think it's worth it to hold off for a turn?
I'd play turn 1. I'm pretty happy with
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, it looks pretty good, doesn't it? That's like
Yeah.
4 or 5 minions that you can get on the board.
That's a
Uh,
lot. You know what the rogue deck is. They are not going to be able to deal with many minions.
yep. And then there's this. You can either play the Dreamway Guardians or the Power of the Wild next turn. And then
Yeah.
I don't want to say this game is over, but
But
the
it
start
is.
is quite good. Although this
Yeah.
backstab is a nice draw, I will admit.
It's nice, but it's not enough.
No, it's definitely not exactly what you're looking for. Oh, and a lightning bloom to top it off. So if Taco wants to use that this turn, he has multiple options. What would you do? Do you think you hold the lightning bloom or just go in again on turn 2?
I think I would hold. I think I would just play Dreamway Guardians and next turn go Cub, Lightning Bloom, Solar Eclipse, Power of the Wild.
Yeah, I agree. That sounds really good for next turn.
Especially depending on what you draw. You don't do that play. You're totally fine going a different route.
I personally don't like Druid right now. It feels like with these starts, it basically beats everything. So I would
Yes.
have considered banning Druid personally. Um,
Uh, I'm not a huge Ban Druid fan, but I can understand why. This is also a fine start. I think this is basically saying I'm going to have a lifesteal board. You're an aggro deck. You're not going to be happy right now.
yeah, and I suspect that JR is not very happy right now.
No,
Um,
no.
there's not much board clear potential for Rogue, and they could clear a few with if like he had prize plunderers and with his backstab, but with Druid it's not enough. So
Yeah. And as a druid, you know the deck you're facing because this is the second game.
exactly.
TacoCat knows what he's seeing.
I think I'd like to see the Cub come down just so you can buff it next turn with Power of the Wild.
Yeah. Um.
Although you could play Nature Studies and hope for maybe another adorable infestation or a Soul of the Forest or even a Savage Roar if that might potentially be lethal next turn.
Um. I would be a little bit concerned of just giving them cards with dirty tricks. So I would prefer to do the Cub because they really want to draw right now. They have an empty hand.
Yep,
Or
that too.
almost.
That too. I
Like the Cub is bad into ambush, but you're not that mad if they
am
get a 2/3.
no. I think if the 2/3 came out, we would still just ignore it and push all the minions face.
Yes.
Yep. And the rogue is just having a really bad time right now with what the druid
Yeah.
is doing, and he's only gonna make matters worse once he buffs his entire board with either Soul of the Forest or Power of the
Right.
Wild.
I think you start with nature studies actually. Just see what spell you get. No? Okay.
So the way I see JR coming back from this is he somehow finds 2 stunners and a secret in the Shadow Step, and he currently has a secret. So I'm not exactly sure how he'll find all those other things in time, but
Yeah.
uh, it could potentially bring him back on board if he does manage
Right.
to with like a secret passage.
I would also bet JR is not running Shadow Step right now. Just having looked at what he brought last or his last match, I don't think there's space to fit Shadow Step with everything.
No, there's probably not. I think that's wishful thinking that he will be able to draw a Shadow Step because there's a lot going on with his deck.
Yeah, and that Starfall is insane here. Just a good way to clear the board, keep your board going. You know you're super close to killing them. I think ignoring was also an option, but this is fine.
And if you're JR, I think you're really hopeful that those two cards in his hand do basically nothing, like they're two innervates.
Uh, yeah,
Then you just continue to play minions and hope that you're only facing 3 damage a turn.
which we know is not going to be the case anymore with the buff.
Yep, and I like summoning an eagle. More damage means the game will end, and
Yeah,
it's unlikely that the rogue can do much about it.
yeah, Rogue does not have AoE, and the Druid is at 30 health. You have good stealth cards, you're playing very good cards, but does it even matter here?
No, this as we said earlier, the game kind of ended on turn 1.
Yeah,
I mean, there were lines in which the game could have maybe gone on longer if JR had drawn differently, but that's not the case, unfortunately. So,
no, it's the Gibberling. That's what it does. We can talk a bit at some point about what is going on with Hearthstone and some of the cards that are just you play them, you win, and there's nothing your opponent can do. Um, there's a certain Paladin 4-drop that's very much like that.
yes, I could not name this Paladin 4-drop.
No,
It couldn't do anything silly like fill your board with Murlocs, which basically all of them have Rush, right? That would be too good.
no, no,
Perhaps?
no.
No,
There
certainly,
also that
certainly not.
card be very fairly statted at a something like a
Yeah,
4/5
yeah.
or a 3/6.
No, that would be ridiculous. I think no, they would never print something like that.
No.
All right,
Um,
we're throwing it back on the rogue. I I assume that this rogue does not beat OTK Demon Hunter, but JR is tripling down on this rogue deck, getting a win. I'm not.
yeah.
I don't know his other decks, but I have a feeling I would not have wanted to queue the rogue into the Demon Hunter.
No, I would have queued Paladin 100% here,
Oh
independent
yeah,
of which deck it is.
yeah, definitely Paladin. No, you're right. I definitely would have queued Paladin into the Demon Hunter.
Yeah, we also see the Chaos Nova, which is a bit of a tech for Ramp Paladin, I would say.
Yeah, it's good against Ramp Paladin. It's also good sometimes against Druid if they make a board and then buff it.
Yeah,
So I think as a one of it's reasonable in the deck.
yeah. I think depending on the matchup, even as a 2 of a card.
All right, so I think we're gonna see TacoCat try and play his cards so that he can outcast this skull.
Yeah.
Uh, do you think he is gonna dump cards like just to outcast the skull, or do you think he values getting like healing off the cards against this rogue deck?
JR doesn't have that great of a start, so I don't think you do. I think you can just go in and take into account the fact that they had a pretty bad start.
So would you be soul cleaving this minion for dealing 2 and healing 1,
Yeah,
or healing 2,
I would
healing
go
2,
Soul
healing 2?
Cleave, Coin Ooze, or vice versa. You could also go I Beam. Is also fine.
Yeah, against rogue you don't have to play the skull as soon as possible. It's not like against a priest where they draw Lucia, you win. They don't draw Lucia,
Yes.
you or no, they lose. Yeah. So staying alive is also an important thing to balance with
Right.
Demon Hunter.
I honestly think I would have gone Passage there. Even though you had the secrets, they're so low impact for your deck.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what to think.
They
I've
don't
okay,
accomplish much.
so we see Taco Cat chooses not to just rip the Chaos Nova to try and be able to outcast the skull sooner.
Yep.
Um, So they obviously want to use it to clear a board, which I think is completely reasonable.
Yeah, I think so. Now JR has a choice of whether he wants to go Ryder, Sneaky Delinquent, or Lillian and Worgen.
Looks like he chooses not to go with the rider. He doesn't think pulling bamboozle is relevant, which it might not be.
Mm-hmm.
I assume you'd assume that the demon hunter uh, would punch it in the face with his face and then be able to clear it a different way, or uh, or he would just remove it with like another eye beam, and that is an interaction that just occurred.
Yeah, it's a real easy to forget interaction that I had forgotten about it until I saw it. And I'm like, oh yeah, during your turn that actually happens for really reasons that I don't think anyone understands super well.
No, um, no, I think it was quite convenient though. It even healed
Yes,
him after the Lillian punched him in the face. So
yeah. That Blood Herald as well. It's the single worst minion to get out of Jandis Barov. And probably the
yes,
single minion in standard if you would think about it.
ignoring the chromatic egg and the desert obelisk. If you think, I don't know, depends on what you think is worse, but yeah, they're all quite low rolls.
Yeah.
I feel like there's actually more high roll cards that you can get than low rolls. If you
Yes.
like that hard, I'd consider those three. But there are a lot of Moargs in TacoCat's hand, and I will say that Moarg against Rogue or against aggro decks is quite important, quite good. But he's
Mhm.
at 28, so
Yeah. I think if JR wants to win, he needs to get that Hanar active next turn and just go Hanar Insanity. There's no other way.
yeah, maybe like an Oh My Yogg somehow baiting Taco Cat into like gliding his own hand away or something
Yeah.
stupid like that.
You need
And
something like that. If I mean if you get Ilganoth, it's basically over at this point. Or literally.
yeah, it's they don't have the burn card yet or the with either I beam or Fell Screen Blast, but they are getting very close.
Yeah. So the secret train does come in. Doesn't
You
seem
think
like
he's
oh go
looking
ahead.
for a specific secret,
Um
or just looking at what he gets and choosing whatever is best?
I kind of wanted Ice Barrier. I think there are some others that are good. Honestly, even the banana secret that I forget the name would be
Yeah,
fine.
the banana secret might actually be a way for JR to win if he can make Elganath a banana.
Yeah.
Um, he has the potential as long as the Sonara is on the board and not silenced. So I think Taco Cat's deciding whether or not he wants to silence or play Skull.
I mean, is there ever a bad time to play Skull? Very
Um,
few.
very few, definitely. Does this overdraw him or does it not? It must not. There's no way he would rip it if it overdrew him. And it looks like there will be a Moarg and I-beam perhaps to try and answer this Anar.
Yeah. I think he has to
How
try
much
to answer it.
how much respect do you as a demon hunter put into this Anar?
You need to. I can't think of a reason why you would let it live. Just way too good.
Yeah, it seems like a throw potentially. This also seemed like interesting order, but it shouldn't matter too much.
At this point, I don't see how JR wins.
Perhaps the answer is Nitro Boost Poison.
Yes. Guess.
Mm,
It's really all I
maybe.
can say.
I think TacoCat needs to severely screw something up in order for JR to win this game.
Yeah, even Sigil Runner is just a good draw option. All you need to do is draw Il'gynoth and the game is over.
Oh, or he can choose the funny card and shuffle half of JR's hand back into his deck.
Sure, that's also fine here.
I find this amusing, given that JR's hand doesn't really do anything. I mean,
Yeah,
he now knows that it doesn't do anything, so
true.
that's probably reassuring.
Can also get the spectral side out, which is draw.
Yeah, that too. Now we're just in draw Il'gynoth waiting room.
Yeah,
I'm really interested in what JR was planning on with this rogue deck.
yeah. It's bad that we won't see him in the interview.
We'll at least be able to get Taco Cat's take on this interesting build. See
Yes,
what he was thinking about it.
yes.
There could be a lethal, like a guaranteed lethal here, but also I don't know what cards are in the deck, so and I don't think it's necessary to go for it. But I think as long as he heals as much as he can this turn, there's basically no way that he's gonna die and not be able to combo JR next turn.
Yeah, that barrier doesn't matter at all at this point. Unless he forgot to put Il'gynoth in the deck.
That's true.
That
He might
has
have
happened
actually
before. I'm
really
sure.
that I'd be crossing my fingers if I was JR then. He hasn't seen
Yeah.
Il'gynoth, though.
No. I've never done that with Il'gynoth, but I'm sure people have forgotten cards like that. I've forgotten really important pieces like Baku or Gen in a deck before.
Yeah, or Mali in the Mali deck,
Yeah, that does happen.
and I expect to see lethal at least at least doing 24, if not dealing even
Yeah,
more.
there it is.
Yeah, I can only assume JR was hoping to get shenanigans and turn Il'gynoth into a banana because otherwise it was
Yeah.
not looking good.
No. This is quite the match. TacoCat clearing the Rogue. So I have to ask, is the Rogue not as strong as it seems? Everyone was giving Rogue as the best class, etc. Question is Rogue not tier 1 right now after the showing?
I think Rogue might be might not be tier one, it might be tier two, but this list especially, I'd understand bringing something like this maybe against Paladin because the secret passage or secret package I find is really good against Paladins, being able to bounce their big stuff. They like to play like single minions in a turn and buff them up, so I find that quite good. Maybe if the warrior was like more like a bomb warrior, for some reason, I could see the rogue deck as well, maybe. But I don't know. I think rogue just isn't as unfair as some of these other up and coming tier one decks.
Mm-hmm. Going to get TacoCat here for a post-match interview. JR does have a statement that he would like to share that if that match doesn't represent many of the problems with Hearthstone right now, I don't know what does. And I think I agree in part with what he's saying. There are a lot of really, really strong cards and that swing the match way too much.
Yeah. I don't know. I think the second game was the one that definitely, if any of them represented what's wrong with
Yes.
Hearthstone, is the fact that he just lost on turn one because his
Yeah.
opponent drew Gibberling. The other games were just like showing the power levels of decks, but the fact that you can just get blown out on so soon is just a little silly.
Yeah. I think so. I can add TacoCat here. Okay. Hey, TacoCat, can you hear us? TacoCat is muted, right?
I can hear you.
Hey, congratulations on your match.
Thank you. I'm pretty surprised that it was a 3-0 because, to be honest, I felt pretty unprepared coming into this week. But sometimes RNG is on your side.
Yeah, this was a quite the insane match. Tell me a bit of your preparation thoughts. Why the Gibberling instead of the spell or the Dragon Druid?
To be honest, it was like Wednesday or Tuesday, like right before the submission deadline. I was playing some ladder and I was playing like Demon Hunter and nothing was working. And then I checked my team Discord and I saw Reg, Valera or FBM,
Yeah.
and he posted his lineup. It was like Juggling Druid, Zoo. It was like 4 aggro
Sure.
decks basically. And I was like, okay, I don't know what I'm doing, so I'm just gonna copy his Juggling Druid. And then I was gonna copy a Zoo too. I played it on ladder and I went like 0-10, so I just brought Demon Hunter instead.
Yeah. That sounds. That's a lot of the times I decide decks are like that. If I play a deck for a bit that someone suggested and it works well, I want to bring that deck.
Yeah. To be honest, sometimes I just kind of look at my decks and I feel like they're not that strong, but then I just play them anyways, and sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, that's fair. Were you expecting the rogue ban from JR's side?
No, I did not expect his rogue at all. Like, he put like secrets in it, and like I didn't know what secrets he would have because he had like bamboozle, so I was like scared of him having like shadow clone or like shenanigans or something because it's like closed deck list. You never know what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
I remember the second game, I like thought for like the whole turn I'm playing a 1-1 because I was like, what if it's ambush and then it trades into my board? But yeah.
Yeah. Well, it seems to have worked out.
Yeah. I'm pretty happy because my team, we're like second place right now
Yeah.
and we want to get the bye. So putting up like as much points as you can is definitely good. So
Right.
that's for sure a good result.
Definitely. And strong showing. I mean, a 3-0, and JR is a good player. A 3-0 is quite nice. I was a bit surprised he didn't play his paladin at all.
You guys know what his decks are? Because
No.
yeah,
We thought it could be pure or just because it looked to line up well with the rogue ban.
yeah, that makes sense. I, I don't know. I was thinking like I was thinking that if it was pure, then it would be really, really good into my lineup. But if it was ramp, then it wouldn't be so good.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure. He said that he was gonna queue Druid, but he felt that Rogue was more aggressive. So I feel like it's not pure, but I don't know. Maybe you never know.
Yeah. AgentPWE, do you have any questions ask you?
I have one question for you. In that last
Alright,
game,
what's the question?
I noticed that there was a certain card on the bottom of your deck.
Oh, yeah.
What are your thoughts on Ilganath and its placement? Perhaps maybe in the 30th position of OTK
I
Demon
mean,
Hunter.
honestly, it could have been like the 40th card, and I probably would have won that game. That game, I feel like, staved off his pressure too well, and eventually I had to draw Ilganoff, and like regardless of when I drew it there, it was probably I played that game pretty bad, to be honest. Like you guys probably saw, I made like quite a few micro mistakes, but I
Yeah,
don't know.
I noticed when the lily and the boss attacked your face and it died. That was rather convenient. I'm not sure
Yes.
either of
Yeah,
you thought
no,
about
I
that
knew
when
about
you
that.
added yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
I could have hero powered for one more health, but
yeah, well, it looked like it worked out regardless of
yeah,
the
I don't
small
know. I don't know
decision.
what that's intended, but I feel like that interaction's pretty stupid.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Especially if you have the Warblades, it just hits your face and dies, and then you don't even take any damage. It's like, I don't know.
I have two more questions for you. One that I like to ask. Um,
Sure.
a lot of people are saying that is really weird or really high rolling. What do you think there's a problem with the meta? And if not, and if yes, what would you change, right?
I feel like the meta is still like in the early stages at the very least, because there's a lot of viable decks. It's not
Yes.
like some metas there's like two good decks, right? I feel like almost every class is viable, and then like they have a lot of the classes have like multiple decks that are good.
Sure.
So I actually feel like the meta is pretty like there's some decks that are like Ramp Paladin. It's like I don't think anyone likes playing against that. But for the most part, I think most of the well, I don't know. Because some of the decks they definitely do feel a bit like uninteractive, like OTKDH, Aggro Rogue to a certain extent, Druid as well. So maybe like the like how the decks function, it might not be the best, but at least I feel like there's a lot of viable decks. So that's a good thing.
Yeah. Sure. And do you have any shout outs you would give to your team, teammates, etc., or friends?
I mean, shout outs to my team for being a great team. Other than that, I don't really have much to say.
Nice. Well,
Shout outs to my team for saving me with decks when I don't know what to do, because I don't know what to do like most of the time, to be honest.
that's fair. That I want to take the opportunity to thank TacoCat and JRJuggerlaw their match on stream. And if you would like to play a match on stream, you can DM me. We're always looking for great weekend afternoon matches on Saturday and Sunday. Yeah. So that being said, I think we're ready to start talking about our next match. Thank you, TacoCat, once
All right,
more. See you later.
Thanks
all
for
right.
joining us.
Yep.
Congrats.
Peace.
Rebob is going soon. I'll tell you ready. Start talking about the match that we're now, which is basedinc Griff. This is quite a cool pro match. What do you think? Before we go into, how do you feel about this matchup from the NPH side? How does this do AgentPWE?
I feel like it's quite important that we get as many points as we can this week. We are towards the bottom of the standings right now, although we have had our bye, so our points per week aren't necessarily the lowest, but it's still in like the bottom half. Definitely not near the top to qualify for playoffs. So we're currently up 8-7 right now. So securing a win is important, but I also think that we really need to win the last two games, not just win by like 1 point.
Right. Yeah. This is a Sushi Rats also is not a team that's very much ahead. So this looks like a either you win this match or it's tough for Pro this season.
Yes, I'd agree. Although we could high roll the rest of the weeks, but that seems like something we don't want to rely on. So
Yeah, there's quite a big gap in Pro teams, the higher level teams or the higher number, and the rest. You need to catch up fast. Yeah, there's a bye week. Still, don't want to have a 20-point gap. 20 points are a lot.
no, certainly not. We are what is it, 17 behind fourth place, and fourth place does not have a bye. So it's like a 17-point week. That would be the what we would need. And this week, I think it's possible if we both win. And I mean, it won't actually close the gap because but it will be a good start.
Yeah. Let's talk a bit about the match. Rebobson is joining us. Let's talk about what we have faced with the Paladin, Rogue, Warlock, and Warrior versus Griff, who actually dropped the Warrior, is bringing Druid, Paladin, Rogue, and Warlock. Um, Talking about Pro, we actually have the deck list, so I'm going to put the deck list on right now for everyone. So, based specifically bringing Libram Paladin, the Rogue is able to. Base has the Pure Paladin. The Rogue is a World Kick with Nitro Boost, Zood, and a ETC and Rage War. Or no, yeah, it's ETC Control. Sorry.
It's like double win condition with the Silas or no, it doesn't. I guess it doesn't run the 1/4, but it does run Silas and Galakrond, and
Sure.
it also runs the ETC, so it is pretty control. And the Paladin is the Librum Paladin.
Okay, so this is a fairly non-new card lineup, right? I think Nitro Boost new card. Oh, Libram of Judgment, one copy.
Yep.
I mean, the old decks work, so this is a way to go. I don't it's targeting anything. This does seem good against Ramp Paladin. Other than the
Yes. Um, I don't think that Base was specifically targeting anything. I think they just brought decks that she likes to play.
yeah,
So but I would not be surprised to see a well, there is no ramp paladin ban. So if there was a ramp paladin, that's what I think we would be seeing base ban because no one likes playing against that deck. So
that is true.
perhaps we should take a look at Griff's deck
Yeah, let's
next.
take Griff has Druid, which is it's a guardian animals druid. There's a
Interesting.
yeah, there's the old school World Kick Rogue, just the new patch. There's a Warlock, which is just two.
Yep, looks like card for card the same as the base Warlock.
Yeah, which is a very standard list. And
Hmm.
we finish with a Paladin, which is a Libram Paladin. Libram.
And this Librum Paladin is running the Dragon package and a one of Sticky Finger for the I could not tell you the evolved shamans that don't exist anymore. Perhaps.
Yeah,
Um,
why you would
yeah. Suppose it could be good, maybe in the mirror against the Librum of Judgment, but you also have two Librum of Judgments in your deck already, so I don't know.
yeah.
If it is good, I suppose we will see, and if it's not, then we'll know why.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Looking specifically into Base's deck, I don't see a huge application of. Well, you could see the warrior weapons, but see it during the match. So, do we know their bans?
All right, so looking at base deck list with the paladin, the rogue, the warlock, and the warrior, I would not be sure what exactly I'd want to ban. I think that the rogue is not the best deck, especially the pre-patch rogue. So I would not ban that personally. Maybe you ban druid just because you don't know what's going on, but you might also not ban druid because who plays druid, right? Like that's probably just not good. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a zoo warlock ban come out. And welcome.
Hello.
Hey,
So,
how's it going, guys?
Ron and Rebob have joined us. I will be moving
Good
to an
evening.
operator position, and for that during this match, I'll leave you in the capable hands of our casting trio here.
All right, now it's a party.
Yeah.
Three's a crowd.
So I guess I'll get going, but before I go, I can announce the bans or not. I can. Griff banned the Warlock for Based, while Based banned Griff's.
All right.
Right. The rogue
Yep,
deck
so
that I said wasn't good, it is banned.
it is
So there we
still a
go.
rogue deck. It is still a rogue deck,
That's true.
which means it's automatically still fairly good. So Griff has the Druid, Paladin, and Warlock versus Based Paladin, Rogue, Warrior. Is that correct?
Yep, that is correct. And
So have we talked about the Guardian Animals Clown Druid yet?
we have not gone in depth into the druid yet. We've merely discussed that is there and that it is odd.
It is odd. I'm very interested to see how it works. Um, you know, I just want to see what happens. And you also said that the
Sometimes
rogue.
you just gotta play the clown druid, I guess.
It's going pretty hard on assuming that there's going to be a scam paladin on the other side, and there was, which is interesting from base considering the other decks don't really line up fantastically into the aforementioned scam paladin. I'm sure the broom paladin it's not happy to see it. And it's pretty interesting to see based go for the dragon broom paladin when last time I casted on Schoolstone it got resoundingly stomped.
Yeah, I think Based has the regular broom paladin and Griff has the dragons in the
Oh, sorry,
paladin.
that is I got
The other way
the
around. Yep.
All right, so Griff has the dragon broom paladin, so he was obviously not watching that stream where it completely fell over. Interesting.
I mean, there are times when it's gonna, just not really perform well at all, and then other times when it's gonna be like, wow, this is a completely absurd. Why does this exist?
So which rogue did you say was the bad rogue?
Grift Rogue, the pre-patch, still running Edwin and Questing Adventurer combo rogue with no new cards. I mean, it's probably fine, but like,
It's serviceable. Edwin is probably the only bad card in it. Not running Brain Freeze there seems wrong. I agree with you.
Well,
And
there's
Coerce.
one SI and one coerce, which is a little bit unusual, but overall it's still a perfectly fine list.
Actually, I think you'll find that 4 weeks ago that was the list.
yeah, this seems
Yeah,
like a thing
something
where
like that.
where you would just copy and paste a deck from your deck tracker and it's accidentally a deck from a month ago.
Yeah,
But that's not
could
to say
happen.
it can't win.
Yeah, it could do, and you know, questing plus Edwin plus a load of cheap stuff can just solo matches on the spot. I don't think that's changed at all. But I'm really just looking forward to seeing this druid, whether it just stomps or does nothing. It's going to be very feast or famine. I also just haven't seen Moonfang played in a game of Hearthstone yet.
It's kind of a cool little card. It's
It's cool.
it's not that good, but it's very interesting.
Yeah, I think
I'm
you can
excited for
basically
Moonfang coming down.
You can summarize every legendary that came out of the new mini set as quite cool, but quite bad. The
Like
Warlock
it's
one?
like a
Fair.
6/1 with reborn, reborn, and then every time you buff it, it just gets like infinite more reborn. It's it people were talking about how it'd be funny or good. Maybe I don't think it's actually be good, but with Ironbark, but I don't see Ironbark in the list, so I don't know how we're gonna get that OP game-winning combo off.
I mean, crucially, it is 5 mana, so we could see it come down from Jandis Barov.
Yeah, and in that situation, it's obviously fantastic. It's probably pretty good if you get it to come down off Guardian Animals as well. I think the thing is like it's such an incredibly value oriented card. I think all of the new legendaries were pretty value oriented, and we are just kind of in a meta where a lot of games are overplayed turn 6, where the value just doesn't matter.
Yeah, I imagine the Druid deck. We could easily see it just draw Survival and Yashraj and die and not play any Clowns or Moonfang, or it could also draw Overgrowth and Wild Growth on curve and then top deck Guardian Animals and then win the game on the spot. I mean,
Yeah,
it is pretty Druid high roll like, although Token Druid is more the flavor of high rolling by drawing Gibberling on turn 1 and being on the coin. So
Gibberling, innovate, Lightning Bloom, Power of the Wild, GG.
Yep, just like
Yeah,
that.
easy.
That's Hearthstone at the moment. And we could see some high rolling stuff. We could see some pretty long, drawn out games here with the 2 paladins, the 1 rogue, 1 zoo, and Silas Warrior.
I see eyeballs, so it looks like we're in.
Yeah.
Oh, we got eyeballs.
Just Hearthstone client
Let's see what
decided
comes up
to
first.
give me some trouble, so we'll be in
I
really
can't
soon.
spec Griff yet, but messaging to turn on spectate, so we'll probably get in soon.
Yeah.
Based is leading with a rogue, and Griff, well, you got
got
your
the
wish,
druid.
Rebobson. It's the druid.
I cannot wait. Although I cannot see what is in Griff's hand yet, so we don't know whether we're seeing the overgrowth or the 10-drop opening hand.
If I'm based, I like the idea of drawing Questing Adventurer and then playing it and then winning the game. But obviously, if that's not an option, they'll have to figure something else out.
All right. Griff's hand is also a mystery to me.
Yes.
Starting off with what Rogue likes to see with a Pharaoh Cat on turn 1.
I imagine there's a Nature Studies on the far left side of his hand, considering he thought about playing it. And I think there's a Wild Growth in there, and I would pick that. Overgrowth, not there, but Wild Growth definitely, so we can play it on curve.
Yeah, I think all of us have had to go offline in order to actually be able to spectate this.
Yep, just rebooting now.
We saw base Sparrow Cat did the thing where it glitches out and doesn't give you a card. You hate to see it.
1 mana, 1/2, do nothing. Significantly worse card that.
1 mana, 1/2, restart Hearthstone. Man, they're really playing with this format now. Digital cards.
I mean, that's what Nozdormu has been for this entire time. Just break game.
I see this druid list running double survival, double clown, Yasharaj. Is there ever a world in which you play all of those cards in a game? Is that a thing that happens?
Maybe.
Surely, if that happens against Rogue, the Rogue should have conceded like 5 turns earlier.
So I think most likely it's an issue on Griff's side of things, and he has to restart his client.
Yep, we all love Hearthstone bugs. And
So in
glitches.
the meantime, we will just be watching this from base perspective then.
The
Oh,
pint-sized summoner getting to stick on the board.
Yeah, that is a very nice pickup for base, getting to play the 2-mana questing adventurer here.
Yep, we're the Shadow Step with a whole bunch of lackeys in hand.
If I'm
And
based,
obviously
I'm looking for this taunt lackey so that this innervate guardian animals does not kill our questing adventurer.
Oh, you're never hoping for Spell Lackey, Shadow Step, Spell
Okay,
Lackey, Shadow Step, go
you
infinite, win
you
game.
make a good point actually. I think I would prefer that one. Going infinite shadow steps and making it like a 300. It's probably slightly better. Yeah.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, it's Guardian Animals. Come on, Moonfang. Oh,
Ah,
Yeah,
never
that's gonna
lucky.
put paid to a lot of what Based was doing.
I
well,
think
the
it's
questing
5.
got just big enough.
Oof.
Hmm.
Well, we would. PoE was just talking about how Druid just sometimes ramp into Guardian Animals in to win the game. And I don't want to call this one too early, but that was a turn. And it happened on turn 4. And I think it's going to be quite hard for Base to come back from that.
I think that based is holding out for these random dragons to be cards that don't exist. I think
Yeah,
that the
especially.
druid's next turn could be another guardian animals, and then we'd be even more sad than we already are.
Yep. It's been a while since I've seen a game like this with a Guardian Druid not really being in the game. I can't say I've particularly missed it. But basically going to do our best here to just clear up the board. And I think a lot of it will be, if Griff manages another powerful turn here, it's going to be pretty brutal. Overgrowth isn't the best thing that could come down here, but this leads me to believe that there is a survival in the hand. And if there is, followed by a clown with no flick in this rogue, it's gonna be game over. And these 2 Lake Thrashers just present a really big problem for Rogue, who want to play quite a wide board in order to counteract the Druid. When your wide board just dies to 2 attacks, what are you supposed to do? Not to mention the serious mana disadvantage that's currently going on here.
You drop Waxadread and hope to get the insane Waxadread value, and it trades perfectly into this 4/6 Lake Thresher, because your other options are drawing cards or playing Generous Mummy. So it looks like drawing cards is what base will choose to do. Well, drawing cards, quote unquote. I mean,
Well, okay. There's a Wand Thief. That's something, potentially.
Right.
oh,
Puzzle
puzzle
box.
box, duh. That's how you win the game. How could we forget about that?
Right, well, Base is presenting 5 damage on the board. All it needs now is just another 4 turns where Griff plays 0 cards, and then it's an easy win.
Yeah, with 10 mana and 6 cards in hand, I think the odds of a druid having a playable card seem pretty low, honestly.
Yeah, no chance.
Probably just hero power pass. Yeah. Yeah, it was interesting that Based was just barely off of running away with this game, provided, just a few conditions. But if the questing could have stuck around for even a single turn, things could have gone incredibly out of hand. Now, a Yasharaj, another strong man, that seems pretty decent on turn 7.
But crucially, it does corrupt a clown.
Yes, very important to know if there are any clowns in hand. That's a full board of 4/4s that can be coming down very soon.
It's not quite a board of 8/8s, but it's still pretty horrible for a rogue which does not run flick to deal with. And strangely enough, we do see quite a few of these miracle tempo rogues now just playing flick, because it's become quite a powerful card in this meta, not just for clowns against things like Scam Paladin, much more than Druid, but also against, Treants, Glowfly Swarm.
And even
And
OTK Demon Hunter to just get rid of
hit-
Moargs.
Hitting the Moargs is also absolutely insane.
We looked for the puzzle box again.
Yes.
Didn't find it.
Box is the out here.
Freezing the 4/6, hoping that they don't trade into the 1/2 and that we generate random combo cards that somehow kills a board full of clowns.
Yeah, like or just a load of eviscerate.
Oh, no
That's not a
clown.
clown. Not a clown, but
Only a 5/4 with rush that draws you 2 cards. Not even
That seems-
that good, honestly.
yeah, interesting. So that is a window of opportunity for base once again. Still a whole lot of damage just presented on the board, and quite a clunky hand. These two dragons.
Oh,
are not
we're
quite-
hoping for lethal. I'm under the impression that it's basically not there, but
Well,
to
Based is, right, 4 off with Bolt and SI, but she's already used both preps, or both Eviscerates, right?
yup. She needed a shadow step for this Wand Thief, I think. Which both have been played, so that seemed like that wasn't gonna happen either.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the playing this swindle before the Frostbolt.
Well, the Frostbolt has to go face if you're looking for damage in the mid. This is the reasoning.
Yeah, I guess.
All right.
This is the. I mean, it stays in the game, this line. I'm not sure where this could possibly go.
And there's the clown.
Yeah. Wait, so the clown was in the hand. Griff just chose to play the Twilight Runner first. And there we go. Druid just kind of did Druid things. And Griff takes it 1-0 so far. And we did get to see the weird Druid. And it seemed to work quite well if you draw Overgrowth at an appropriate time.
Yeah, ramp good, turns out. I was pretty disappointed we did not see Moonfang in that game, though.
Yeah, that's a disappointment. I've still
All
never
excited.
seen Moonfang played
Yeah,
in a game.
just. Druid did its thing. The clowns came out, but no Moonfang. Congrats on game 1 to Griff. Definitely. I'm just really disappointed now.
Aren't we all?
It's
No
all
moon,
right.
no
The
Moonfangs for another month.
Jandis and the Rogue is still there. We can still see Moonfang.
That's right.
We could even see 2 or 4 or 6 if we're lucky enough.
Oh, the double Moonfang off of Jandis. Now that is a roll.
Just yesterday, I rolled Earth Elemental and Greybow. I felt pretty good about myself. Then you
Okay.
also roll Chromatic Egg and the 1/1 enough times so that it evens out. So
In an aggro mirror the other day, I had an aggro rogue top deck Jandis on 7 health and get the Scrap Golem and Sandhoof Waterbearer.
All right, looks like game 2 is underway, and good news here. I can see Griff's hand.
Whoa. Say it ain't so.
I'm not even sure I know what to do with this information.
Whoa.
So Base is bringing that rogue back, and Griff is going in on the Zoo Warlock here. So overall, stats-wise, fairly reasonably favored for Based.
Yep, but you know what can make things go crazy? Dark glare. And we already see one.
Very true. Plunderer, one of the better cards in this matchup for the Rogue, but tempo also pretty important, so Base just throwing it out here on turn 1.
This is one of the few occasions where I've ever seen a tempo Prize Plunderer. And might just be met with a tempo broom. You know, a weird start to a game demands a weird start.
Pace was hopeful that it would stop the Flame Imp that's not in Griff's hand from being played, or that it would just trade right into it. Probably didn't think that a broom would just come down and answer it.
I'm pretty excited for Base most recent draw. She drew Moonfang. Just, doesn't know it yet.
Golden Moonfang at that.
Golden Moonfang, that's right.
That's beautiful.
So when I play Zoo, whoever who taught me to play Zoo, they said tap unless you're doing something unfair. And so playing the Dark Glare on 2 is not considered unfair. Usually it's cheating like 3 mana with Dark Glare in my eyes. So
I like
I'm
it
not sure.
I like it purely for the sense that Raised Dead was in hand.
Okay.
But now that the Raised Dead pool is potentially ruined, it wasn't though. It got the 2 best outcomes. I want to see another Raised Dead here to get more Dark
Yep.
Glares and do
Oh, you
some
definitely,
really broken stuff.
Yep. I'd like to see it. If it doesn't hit the Dark Glare, then we're sad, and
We're sad.
we are
Bricks on the
sad.
Dark Glare.
Well, we're not. Why aren't we tapping?
No, we want this coin so we can I don't know. If you tap it discounts the giant, so you don't need the coin for the giant next turn. I guess drawing cards is overrated, you know?
Never mind, that's the entire upside to Warlock. But now, Base has 2 options: either deal with a Dark Glare, or actually gain any amount of tempo.
Come on, Golden Moonfang.
I think it's got to be the Golden Moonfang here. That's the best play in Hearthstone.
See,
No,
But yeah, Base respecting this Dark Glare. Just gonna clear it up.
do we ever secret passage for 1 mana worth of stuff?
I
No,
don't
it
think
looks
that's
like
something Base wants to do.
it looks like no. Well, I'd like to see a flesh giant. Nope, I lied. I wouldn't. I personally like playing Spirit Jailer before you tap because it could draw the soul fragments. But maybe the math didn't work out. I don't know. I didn't really think about it that hard.
yeah, it was possible, but I think Griff was maybe think maybe we'll draw into
Golden
something
Moonfang,
better.
no?
No.
Aw.
This is disappointing.
Yeah, just 2 fairly solidly statted minions, but with not the best attack stats. So gone for the 3.
Taking the
here.
3/5 here as the one that will die right away. This 2/8 in stats is pretty good when you're fighting against a wide board. Unless one of those wide board minions is an 8/8.
So we could see a Mosher with the onto the 1/1 to heal here.
Yeah, I like the
But-
idea of this 8/8 having rush and killing a 2/8. Interesting
the
choice
board-
trading it first. I mean, I guess it was just too obvious, right?
So there was also a decision there made to, instead of using the rushing broom, the 1/1 spirit jailer, which could have gone face, was used to kill it. I'm not sure if that was wholly intentional.
Might have been an oversight, I would suspect, but you played an 8/8 with rush, so
And
Oh.
that is TacoCat 1/2 do nothing.
Ooh.
it's exactly what you want against the Zoo Warlock is the 10 mana 10/10.
Yeah, this is the matchup where it shines.
Oof, and since we played the Foxy Fraud first, this Eviscerate does not corrupt the Nitro Boost Poison. Not that it's necessary. I mean, we got a 3/2, so are we that sad? Probably not, but
2
it's
mana 3/2.
yep, 2
This
mana 3/2.
TacoCat amounted to a Bloodfen Raptor.
Oh, we're playing minions and
Oh yeah, this is
Yeah.
very good
yes,
for Griff being
I
able
agree with
to
this. Yeah.
Yeah, so
discard
this
the
is-
hand and buff.
Yeah, and there is a Soulfire. This is
Did we just rip the questing adventure? We did.
yeah.
Yep.
These reborn minions
Brutal
are not
for
the ones
based
for this
here.
game.
Just gotta dig.
One thief, please. One time. Nope.
It's got to be one thief.
And
Prep,
Frost
Frost
Nova.
Nova.
Yeah.
None of those
And
are coming down. That's going to be lethal.
Ouch.
Just on the board.
Yep.
Ooh.
So Griff is gonna go up with a very big early lead here, 2-0, getting the Druid and the Warlock through, and Base still looking to buy a victory with that Rogue.
So, what do you think really went wrong for base there? Obviously, it's supposed to be a slightly favourable matchup for the Rogue, but didn't pan out. Even though I think base's hand opening was pretty solid. I'm still unsure about the opening of the Prize Plunderer for Tempo. I think that card is just too good.
Yeah, not having the Plunderer to clear up some things early and just playing it for tempo. Base could have taken that early lead, but unfortunately for her, Griff had the broom and things just kind of kept getting awkward and worse from there. But we're on to game 3 and Griff leading off with, wow, a whole lot of things that Paladin likes to see.
I'm a big fan of Griff's hand right now. Well, except for the sticky fingers, but the other two. Definitely.
You
Interesting
tended
to
on
see
1, the
this.
True Seeker on 5, a
And
6
then the
mana
Libram
Libra
of
of
Hope on
Hope that
6.
can come down on 6. Whew.
And there's the Flinger. All this hand needs now is a Libram Wisdom, and then we're going to see the ball really start rolling.
Oh.
But if this World Kick manages to run away with things, then we might have a game on our hands.
Yeah, this is open list, based very well aware, I'm sure, that Griff doesn't have a whole lot of answers for the Whirl Kick coming down right on turn 2. Here comes the Prep Wand Thief to try to chain some things together.
That is an Eviscerate, which is... Oh, and that is
Potion
a
of
Potion of
Illusion.
Whoa! Alright, we might have a quick game on our hands here. Griff has the really good hand, but it is pretty slow. And we might just see a Pen Flinger just to thrown out to deal with this World Kick. Even though there is a second one in hand, you can't let the Rogue get too much value, but we are going to see the Rogue get a lot of value now.
Griff says, I don't care about your value. You have too much. I
Oh
can't
my
stop
god.
it.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Right, so
Yeah, I'm liking Griff's hand a little bit less now.
yeah, this is a lot of Eviscerates.
Oh, yep, base finding more burn. See burn, take burn.
Yeah, so base hand as it stands with the Nitro Boost and 3 Eviscerates does about 15
You don't have the
damage.
mana for all of it, but it does 16.
I like the thought of playing Eviscerate this turn, personally.
Yeah, Eviscerate, and then maybe
You think
a
so? This seems good to me as well here.
Eviscerate, maybe just a dagger up and
We're playing.
Nitro Boost.
Aha!
Nope. More
That is
damage.
basic. That is an Eviscerate if you don't think about it, or if you do think about it. This is also an Eviscerate, except it also does 2 more damage next turn. So
Everything's an eviscerate.
Yeah, Hearthstone just became the game of Eviscerates. This Libram of Hope doesn't even look particularly good now.
Yeah, so Based had some pretty rough openings in the first couple games, and I guess Hearthstone decided to make some with this rogue opener.
I feel like this would be lethal if I desired to count it. However, I don't actually know.
It might be.
I think base should just send to Avista's face and prize plunder and hope that they die. It really looks like lethal. I mean, no, send those face though.
Well, you can send one face and then
Okay,
plunder
okay,
it.
fine. Yeah, this is fair. Okay, I mean,
Yeah, pretty sure
I don't think it
there's
matters.
a lethal here.
I like how there are 3
Counting
casters,
is
and all 3 of them just couldn't be bothered to count. Just like, yeah, it's
yeah,
probably lethal.
counting is hard. Base
It was
though,
one over.
she did count, and it is lethal.
Plus, it was just one of those scenarios where it was like, even if it isn't lethal, it's still probably just the correct play because you have World Kick in play and you're just chaining combo cards. So,
True.
if it's not lethal, it will probably be lethal the following turn. So, who cares? You know that there's not a Pyromancer in the Paladin list. So you're happy
So
to just...
on to game 4 now with Based picking up a victory finally with that rogue. Next up, out comes the warrior up against this paladin.
Yeah, so another a crucial thing I think to note in this Paladin list from Griff is the absence of Silas. With no Silas in the list, it really opens up the possibility of Rattlegore just kind of soloing things for the warrior. Speaking of which.
And importantly for Based as well, she does have Silas in her warrior list, which also creates the possibility of stealing a Libram of Hope in certain cases.
Yeah, there are some big targets in the Paladin for Silas to steal from warrior. You know, you can give them a broom and send them and get an 8/8 Divine Shield Taunt right back. It's usually pretty good. And then because it's an ETC OTK deck, the Paladin also needs to exert that pressure on the warrior, and the Dragon package is a much more defensive list for the Paladin than some other builds. So
See the
exerting
angry
that
chicken
pressure.
come out.
I have won games with an angry chicken before. It was beautiful.
Angry Chicken's just waiting on a buff.
Yeah, angry chicken with 2 Librams is crazy.
Yeah, I think we have the 5-minute card that you want to have if you're paladin. You
Oh, yeah,
also
Griff is
have the
very good
2
at drawing
Libram
that
of
card.
Wisdom, so I think we want a friend here. But although 4 mana, like 4/8, is probably better than getting a random, probably garbage legendary, it could be Moonfang. So
It is true. If you
Based
can take
once
Moonfang,
again denying us the opportunity for a Moonfang.
it's pretty selfish if you ask me.
But Twilight Drake did seem to be fairly solid out of those options being presented. Base is holding a hand that is so close to something that can completely run away with this game, provided she can make it without too much pressure by turn 9 and turn 10, with Rattlegore and Merc both in hand.
Absolutely. The Rattlegore win condition is present. All Base needs is to deal with the pressure presented by Griff right now. Because when you look at Griff's hand, It's not fantastic after this board is dealt with. We do have the 2 Amber Watches that are going to come down and the Hand of Adal to maybe cycle, but there's also 4 1/1s.
End of
I'm
Adal
sad
seems
we
pretty
didn't
good to
see
me.
Angry Chicken Hand of a Doll Broom. Even though it's the wrong play, it would have been fun.
It was definitely the right play.
It's always the right play.
Griff likes to go face. I approve. Trading is illegal. Not a thing you're allowed to do
2
against
mercs now
warrior.
in hand for based.
Yeah, this Ralgor, if it comes down and Based is not dead, which she is on 33 health currently, and that Rat Dragon Tamer is now a 2 mana 2/3, it's just a Red for Crocolisk. Based is so close.
Do you think we'll be seeing a Tempo Liadrin come down next turn, or
just for 1 Hand of Adal?
and 2 Libram of Wisdoms? I mean, it's not the best. Don't get me wrong, but I don't
Certainly
know.
not the best.
If you want to maybe kill your opponent faster, it could do that. If you know that your opponent has Rattlegore double copy,
In
perhaps
that
a
scenario,
consideration.
were Griff to be stream sniping, I think the Tempo Leadrin would be the correct play.
Oh, yes.
We,
I see Angry Chicken. Nope, I don't see Angry Chicken.
it's really
I
disappointing.
was a bit surprised, honestly, to not see the Shield Slam come out now, knowing that base was going to be taking a good amount of damage to clear up that 4/6, but valuing it for another target. Nice pickup with the Sword Eater here to try to clear up the board a little bit, and buys, I think, enough time to just feel comfortable enough.
To drop that Ralgor.
Or can come down on 9. Doesn't matter what the Paladin's turn is here.
Yeah. If you can drop Ralgor versus the Paladin when you know there's no Silas, you just drop the Ralgor. Also, it's quite funny how this Alderated has survived since turn 1. Because of that, Griff has only got to play 2 Librams, so this Liadrin is basically useless. Yep, that was the fastest
There he
Ralgor
is.
I've ever seen.
Golden Rattlegore, he out here screaming.
Oh no, we want the Hand of Adal, the Angry Chicken, so that we can Penflinger it. Oh, never lucky. Although there is a lot of damage that Based is staring down.
That was
So
an
maybe
incredible draw for Griff there.
we don't copy the Rattlegores this turn. Maybe we play a brawl and trade, play a brawl, then copy it.
Yeah, I mean
I don't think there's any
you can still
resolution
copy it, but Brawl basically just had to come down here.
Oh,
Wow,
okay.
Rattlegore wins
That
the Brawl.
makes things easy.
Do we Penflinger the Rattlegore, play Battle Rage, and then just Hero Power here? Set up for the double merc next turn. Draw 2 cards.
Looks like we do nothing. I mean, gaining 2 armor, and we see Libram of Hope off the top again. But there's no Penflingers in Griff's hand, so I'm not sure how he plans on killing Based.
With this 9/9 Taunt
With
Divine Shield.
yeah. He's
Make
gonna
an
be met with
attempt
some
then.
bad news, but
Yeah, Based has this already. Penflinger knocks off the Divine Shield. Shield Slam could damage it slightly if she wanted. Just go in Battle Rage for 1 to get the Penflinger back. Value in that Shield Slam still.
are we looking for a minion to play with this skipper, or are we just clearing everything with Penflinger?
I think he's clearing everything with Penflinger. One thing to note about there is the Silas. One thing to note about Based's line is she is still keeping open the ETC OTK, and she has drawn pretty heavily through her deck. There's only 9 cards remaining. Got both mercenaries in hand, just as well as the Penflinger. Just needs an ETC and the second broom.
All right, so here comes the Liadrin. Paladin gets all the spells, but misses the
Misses the
Librams
Libra
of
of
Hope.
Hope.
A big problem for Griff.
How are we going to divide up these Libram of Wisdoms so that Silas does not take all of our Libram Wisdoms? We go half and half. I think Battle Rage and Risky Skipper, assuming we draw a playable minion, is an option, and we don't. So I lied. It's not an option.
Yeah, we could see a Silas here to take this Salet's Pride. We'll draw these. It won't draw anything now that the second broom has come off the top, but it will deny Griff both 5 Libra Wisdoms and both of his Penflingers to be drawn.
Mm-hmm.
So it would
Think-
seriously hamper Griff's game plan going forward.
Based might be thinking about how Silas works, on which side that she's supposed to put it on, which would be the
Yeah.
left if she were to do that, or give him the Risky Skipper too. You would still want it on the left, but
Yes. Yep, here we are. Going to be taking the Salet's Pride, judging by the skipper placement on the left.
does the Risky Skipper trigger?
I don't think
believe
it does.
not. So we can
No.
see Penflinger, Shield Slam, kill the Liadrin.
Oh, this is
When you've seen every Libram already come down,
That's a very risky line for Baze.
Yeah,
Griff
I
is
think you have a
barely off
Rattlegore on
lethal.
board. You have a Rattlegore on the board, and
yeah, it's
and an A and I don't think you need the ETC combo. You can just copy Rattlegore twice.
Oh wow, Cleric of Scales
Oh.
active.
Oh.
that is one off lethal, I believe.
No, it looks like
No,
I
it's
think it
lethal.
is lethal.
That has to go down as a throw.
Unfortunately,
A big throw.
yes. Leaving yourself at 4 HP, theoretically, with Penflingers being a card that exists.
Yeah, that was just very greedy, I think, from Based. Could have just used the Penflinger Shield Slam.
Definitely, I
deal
think,
1
was
damage.
expecting that the skipper was going to activate, which would have made things so much easier. And then once it did not, rope was burning, had to make a decision whether or not to throw out one of those combo pieces. Any one of them could have been a potential win con, and elected to save it and got severely punished. It was very unlikely still, given Griff's hand, that Base was going to lose that one. Of course, she couldn't have known that, and Penflingers could have just closed it out. But congratulations to Griff there. That was a nice job, picking up the final victory in some
Absolutely.
spicy fashion.
Yeah, the Druid picked it up in exactly the way that Druid can do when it's not completely rolling over. I think the Zoo Rogue match was very interesting, and I think Griff did a pretty good job there in the final game. That was very much Based game to lose. I think there was a small error there, and Griff had just given themselves enough room to capitalize and just cheese an exact lethal just out of nowhere. If you take your opponent making mistakes is one thing, but being able to capitalize on them and get the win for yourself just out of nowhere is quite another. I think that was very well done by Griff.
Absolutely. Well played by Griff. Picked up some pretty important early victories and then just needed the Paladin to get on through. And wound up, with quite the lethal. It did not seem very likely when the turn started, even though he was close.
Yeah.
That was a
Yeah.
very interesting one. First day of school gives the active priest 1/1 that discovers the other spell to
Cleric
get
of
the lethal.
Scales into Libra of Justice, only spell remaining in the deck for lethal with the Penflinger.
I think Griff will be very surprised to hear that Base was holding 2 Bloodsworn mercenaries though, and just at no point copied the Rattlegore.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like Base could have copied the Rattlegore at some point, maybe.
Hey, welcome
Griff.
Griff. Congratulations on the victory.
You guys?
Very well done. So we were just saying, how surprised would you be to know that the entire time Rattlegore was on the board, there were 2 copies of Bloodsworn Mercenary in based hand?
That would have probably lost me the game. I pretty much I wasn't sure I was gonna be able to win the game after Rattlegore won that brawl. That's
yeah.
what scared me. Like, cause I was like, if any one of my minions survives this brawl, like especially like if like this 8/8 lives, or like I like at least gets like, you know, some sort of like he has to trade. But I guess I don't know. I was kind of scared after that Rattlegore won the brawl. But yeah, I think if there were 2 copies of Bloodsworn Mercenary, I knew they were there, I would have conceded right then. Didn't
Fair.
I wasn't even sure I was gonna be able to, that lethal was kind of crazy. I knew I just needed a pen to like a pen or 2. That's why I needed to play the pride there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
I
was
think
a very
was-
spicy lethal. Completely unexpected, but I mean, you played to the outs correctly, and it paid off big time for a really nice find.
Yeah.
For...
Yeah, to be honest, I just had to ignore the Rattlegore. Like after like I mean I'm gonna lose the long game against Rattlegore, but I have enough healing and enough like ways to put things on the board and buff them that I think I was gonna be able to race the Rattlegore. But like that's what I had to do.
Racing 3 Rattlegores though might have been a little more difficult.
Racing 3 Rattlegores I think is impossible. I don't know if that's possible by any deck.
We were a bit surprised though, pivoting from that game to your overall lists, to see the Clown Druid, and it did pretty well. One card I really want to talk to you about though is Moonfang. I'm very excited to see that card in the list. We were so disappointed we didn't get to see it in that game. What I guess informed that inclusion for you?
So as far as like clown, like the Guardian Clown Druid, it's just like a deck that I really like, that I'm really comfortable with, and that's kind of why I picked it for a lot of my lineups in THL, and it's actually done really, really well. But Moonfang, I just felt like the taunt on Teacher's Pet, which was that slot originally, didn't really matter that much. The fact that Moonfang is a super like durable threat that comes off of your guardian animals to like clean up the board in a much better way than Teacher's Pet does is what like informed that decision for me. Also because it's just a sweet card and it's very, very good off of Survival of the Fittest. It's nearly impossible to kill against for a lot of classes.
Nice, fair enough. Yeah, I wasn't thinking about Survival of the Fittest on a Moonfang. That sounds extra gross.
Yeah, a couple times I've hit the double survival into the Moonfang, and it's just disgusting. But that's
Oh,
kind of
wow.
a win more scenario. You ever cast 2 survivals?
Right, I mean, you're probably winning already with 2 survivals.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even need him in that game against Rogue. That was kind of the best case scenario, to be honest. Was going into the Rogue with guardian animals turn game 1, just because I just know they don't have a way to clear a lot of my boards. So I knew that I just had to make sure that I could stick like 1 clown, and the game was, I think, over.
Well, anytime you can ramp early as a druid, especially that deck, you're feeling pretty good. And I think it was turn 5, maybe, that you got the guardian animals down.
That definitely helped too. As long as you get it on turn 5 or 6, you have a very, very good chance of winning the game, which is just great. Props to basedinc though. Like, he played around those guardian animals very well. Those threshers would have like wrecked him a lot earlier if he hadn't.
Yeah, she was
around
playing
the
to
way.
all the outs, but just couldn't quite find it there with the rogue. The rogue at one point against the druid, I think, was just 4 off lethal, really close and had an out, but couldn't get it.
Yeah, I was there. There was one turn in particular where I decided to go face with Yasharaj instead of trade, and I knew I was like, if they have the lethal here, like they have it, but I think I have to go face to be able to close this game out before, because my life total is getting really low here, and I don't have a lot of healing. So there was one point there where I was like, well, if I'm dead, I'm dead, but I kind of have to play to this out here.
Certainly paid off for you. Any other things that you want to say while we have you here on the stream? Shout outs you want to give or otherwise?
Shout out to my TESPA teammates and my pro teammates who are all on the Miami University esports team with me. So shout out to those guys. And that's about it for shout outs for me. But thanks for having me on, guys.
Yeah, congrats on the win.
Thank you.
Yeah, congrats again. Thanks for joining us.
Appreciate it, guys.
Alright, so up next we have a final match of the stream, which is going to be BillSnyder versus Mayanadon of teams up the top of the table. So Mayanadon from Popeyes Spicy Chicken Sandwich and BillSnyder from Tap Washers, both the current 5th seeds for their team, both on a 2-3 record, both looking to go even. But before we start talking about that, Ron, I think you've got a little spiel about what THL is for anyone watching.
Yeah. Do you guys want the slowed down version or the rapid fire version?
I don't know. How are you feeling today? You feeling fast?
Yeah, whichever one you're best at.
Well, I suppose I'm just kind of used to more the rapid fire, so I guess we'll go with that. So we do have a little bit of a commercial break for you guys, and it is about THL. So without further ado, hey there, Twitch viewers. Have you subscribed to Team Hearth Legends yet? No? Then make today the day to be a legend yourself and subscribe to our channel. This subscription will enable the THL team to help cover the various costs of operating our website, as well as improve the quality of our streams and content to our viewers. If you have Amazon Prime or Twitch Prime, you can actually subscribe to this channel for free. Subscribers will get a THL emoticon as well as the lovely THL chat badge. So hit that heart button and keep the notifications on to make sure you catch our team broadcasting live. We appreciate each and every one of you. Special note to our viewers, check out social media points of interest. Our website, teamheartlegends.com. Follow us on Twitter at THL_HS. Join us on Discord, Team Hearth Legends. Check out the THL POW podcast for power rankings for all series wherever you find your podcast. The true Hearth Legends himself, Saku, continues to post all of our videos on our YouTube channel. Just search for Team Hearth Legends to catch everything previously recorded. You are, of course, watching us on our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Team Hearth Legends, or possibly on our YouTube channel in the future. For all you THL fanatics out there, there are THL shows every single day of the week. You can't go wrong tuning in at any time for some amazing Hearthstone-related content. Now back to the good part.
That was beautiful. I love how it's like you just hear the point in your voice where you go into the commercial. So you just flick a switch in your brain.
Exactly.
Yeah, just gotta hit the rhythm right.
Like, how many times do you think you've done that whole spiel?
We're probably in the 30+ range at this point.
Make that 31.
Hey.
Right, so let's get on to talking about what is our next match and final one for this particular stream. BillSnyder versus Mayanadon. I'm going to be incredibly biased for this because Mayan is one of my legacy players. But what do you think of their lineups?
Well, naturally, the bias. They're both fantastic players too, by the way. And we're looking at a Paladin, Rogue, Warlock, Warrior for Mayan, and a Demon Hunter, Druid, Rogue, Warrior for Bill. And of course, the archetypes, not the same Druid. No Moonfang, no clowns.
Pretty disappointed to not see a Moonfang. This is
on Bill's side, yeah.
Yeah, so Bill's Druid is, I think, the Druid, which was kind of all the rage maybe 4 days ago, in line with when these decks were submitted, rather than the one which has been more prevalent in the past 1 or 2 days. So it's a lot more Treant focused. Treant? I don't know how to say that. So you've got the double runic carvings, you've got the double aeroponics, you've got Soul of the Forest. Whereas now it's gone with a lot more streamlined, kind of gibbling token route. So it's a little bit slower. We'll see on builds the pretty standard weapon rogue with the self-sharpening sword and the steel dancer. A pretty normal enraged warrior, not running the ETC package, and Soul Demon Hunter, which we've all seen many times before on many of these streams. Then on my side, we have Scam Paladin, which is always funny to see. The World Kick, Miracle Rogue, a Zoo, and an Enraged Warrior as well.
Looks
So
like
interesting to
pretty
see-
much the same warrior list too.
Yes, the only difference there is Bill is running Gromash, Hellscream, and double Nitro Boost Poison, while Mayan is running the Corsair Cash and Reaper's Scythe, as well as the Grom. So I think Mayan is looking to be a bit more reactive, while Bill's is looking to be a bit more proactive. So Bill's lineup all in all is just very aggressive, which might do well for Mayan's very reactive warrior list. So I'd assume that we might see that banned. But in the same note, against a very proactive, aggressive lineup, that Zoo Warlock may be a weak point for Mayan.
Yeah, and I would never be too surprised to see the Scam Paladin just get banned
Yeah.
if you're Bill.
Yeah, so there are almost 3 bans which are viable for BillSnyder here. The Scam Paladin, because it's just a stupid deck which can do stupid things. The Warrior, because it's such an effective anti-aggro deck. Or indeed the World Kick Rogue, because it's also a very effective anti-aggro deck, though it does do a lot worse against Soul Demon Hunter specifically. And then, what do you see being banned on Mayanadon's side? For Mayanadon, even.
For Mayan, looking at his lineup here, the thing that I feel like just is usually the scariest is warrior.
Yes.
I wouldn't hate just going straight ahead with a warrior band. Just hey, this is your overall probably best deck available out of these 4, so I'm gonna get that out of here.
Yeah, I think I would agree. I wouldn't be too scared of a Soul Demon Hunter. It's not really improved all that much recently. And the Demon Hunter is probably your Zulok's best chance of getting through. It's a pretty poor anti-aggro deck at this point, especially when the Demon Hunter's only running a single copy of Blade Dance. I think I would agree with the Warrior as well.
Well, we don't have to speculate any longer because it looks like bans are in. And it is, in fact, double warrior ban.
Yep,
So
you were
yeah.
correct and I was wrong.
No warriors allowed. This does mean we get to see Scam Paladin, probably. We're going to see a Nas or an Allura on turn 4 or 5 with some full shenanigans.
Yeah, we like seeing shenaniganery, as we saw it with the Druid. We might get to see clowns in 2 different matches today. And I don't think we were all,
I might throw up in my mouth a little bit, but that is fine. I will set that aside and power on for the benefit of the stream if we see some major scams happening.
Yeah, if you hear retching, just ignore it.
I'll mute myself real quick for the retching.
No, I think you should turn your gain up. It would add to the quality of the stream, I think.
There you go.
Had to add BillSnyder. And I am looking forward to seeing the Paladin. Paladin is just the most feast or famine deck that I have ever seen for quite some time. Like, it's even worse than Clown Druid was towards the start of the previous expansion.
Yeah,
Um,
it's pretty absurd. I will say that at the very least, this Paladin list I think is an improvement over a lot of the ones that I've been seeing on ladder, where it does not run the amalgams, which can be dragons that can be drawn from Dragon Tamer, and just kind of streamlines a little bit with a few other cards. Strongman being sometimes pretty key just to get corrupted and get more out there, but more importantly, just not disrupting your draw for Nozdormu. So your two biggest power spike cards that you need to have to go off with the rest, Allura and Noz, are
Yeah.
just what you can find
Yeah,
faster.
without these 2/4 drops, this deck is atrocious. It just doesn't do anything. Like, it's just like a really bad Murloc Paladin from a couple years ago, and then it does nothing for turns 4, 5, 6, 7. And then you can do some crazy stuff in the late game. But if you don't get that high roll, which you absolutely want, the deck wants to mulligan pretty aggressively for it, especially if it's on the coin. So the Dragon Tamer, like, the reason the amalgams are generally cut now is because, like I just said, without those 4 drops, the deck is very poor. So if you get those Dragon Tamers drawing a 4-mana 4/5, which doesn't, scam your opponent in any way, you can just run out of gas, and your opponent is probably going to be doing significantly more broken things.
Very true.
And it's crazy how one of the cards which has really allowed this deck to take off is Crab Rider, which is, you look at it and you don't think, wow, this card's so good. But when you get it off Tip the Scales with 2 Murloc War Leaders in play, it becomes the absolute nuts, because
Yeah,
now
all of a
Tip
sudden,
the Scales has
that
like an actual reactive element to it.
Yeah, that 5/4 Rush Wind Fury, kind of rough.
Yeah,
You gotta compare it to the Wild Flying Machine. 3-mana 1/4 Wind Fury, mech, no rush. Just discount that by 1, give it rush, and then pull it off of Tip the Scales for free. Kind of carries the deck. I mean, it obviously doesn't. Allura literally carries the deck, but you gotta admit it is
But
True.
pretty decent.
But there's no real Allura Tip the Scales high roll that scares people all that much without the Crab Rider.
Very true.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that. Although I've found generally in my games, the much scarier card is Nozdormu.
Absolutely is. There's so many times. I mean, it depends on your follow-up, but usually when the Paladin is jamming that Nozdormu on the board, they have one of their 10 drops, and they also have Clown in hand. So it is 2 turns from now, I'm making big boards.
Yeah, speaking from your own personal experience, of course, they always have 10-drop into Clown.
They always have it.
That's just the way it goes. I think we are maybe thinking about telling the players to get into game at the moment.
Yeah, it looks like they are challenged up. I see eyeballs lighting up. I think we can jump right into it.
Let's get this show on the road. No warriors going to be played. BillSnyder on the Druid, Rogue, and Demon Hunter. Mayanadon on the Paladin, Rogue, and Block. And Mayan will be starting with this Scan Paladin. And Bill,
Oh, you knew he was going to start with it.
The Treant Druid has
Oh,
this
wow.
Growth in the opening hand, as well as a Glowfly Swarm, but the Swarm doesn't have the...
And mine has a Allura coin.
Well,
GG. Next game.
So this
Yes.
is going to be a big problem for Druid.
Yes, it's a huge, huge problem, which is going to go completely unanswered, most likely.
Honestly, mine could even use the coin beforehand, because he also has Wand Maker. and may just prefer playing Allura and the One Maker spell on turn 5 and possibly coining something earlier. He has that flexibility though, because One Maker, speaking of One Maker, picks up another one.
Yeah, so Bill does have the Overgrowth, but the interesting thing about this particular deck is it's one of the only Druid decks where the Overgrowth is not really that good. Because the
Getting 2 mana
token
crystals.
or Treants don't have that much they can do with all this extra mana, and they'd much rather use those early turns to be proactive. Scargill could be quite effective in a couple turns' time.
You say that gaining 2 mana is bad, and that's how you know that this Druid deck is kind of good.
Yeah,
You-
but we
you know,
do also see from Bill the possibility of Lightning Bloom, Solar Eclipse, Power of the Wild, make these all 4/4s.
That would be a good play if Mayanadon wasn't about to play Tip the Scales
The
with
one
his
thing about
Allura.
the one thing about the Tip the Scales is both Crab Raiders are in hand.
Oh, is it? Are they? Okay, so then it's definitely less good.
It is less good, but you know it's still 100% of play.
There could be a top deck. I don't know if there's what would be BillSnyder's best top deck. I'm thinking that Savage Roar is not gonna be lethal.
It's not going to be lethal.
Oh, okay.
Two of these 4/4s will be dealt with.
And
So
one will
another
be
one.
changed to 1 attack.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, and
So
what a
mine
fun
is
game of
actually
Hearthstone we've just experienced.
All right. So
Yeah,
mine
this was-
prioritizing keeping an 8/2 alive
which I think
makes
is
sense
valid.
because these minions are really not going to be able to go face with a board like this.
Yeah, and then next turn, Mayanadon is going to draw into Nozdormu if one of these Dragon Tamers do die. Bill draws a 5 mana Arcane Intellect. Not really what he was looking for, I feel. And that second Overgrowth is just completely useless here. This is Dunzo.
All right, well, this is why you bring Scam Paladin, so you can scam your opponent.
Absolutely. So Mayanadon can trade one of these 2/3s into the 4/1, draw a Nozdormu, and just close out the game, or can use Scargill to maybe generate some extra Murlocs and completely outvalue him here.
Yes,
Oh.
Magic. Is that Magic
Oh,
Fin?
could get
Come on, get-
random legendaries. Oh, come on, Mayan.
Yeah, where's your
Want to
sense
see
of
what the
fun?
legendaries that would be.
Yeah, we'll see that next turn, I'm sure.
We might just see Bill die next turn.
Yeah, we're also probably going to see that, but maybe we'll see some random legendaries before BillSnyder dies.
I'm not sure Fungal Fortunes can draw him anything that is good enough, but I don't think anything is good enough.
Really
Death
anything
is
but
imminent.
press the button, it's game over.
Yeah,
Just on board.
What BillSnyder needed there was Lightning Bloom into Puzzle Box, and forgot to put that card in this Druid deck. So that is going to be 1-0 to my hand. The Scam Paladin with Allura on 1, surprisingly enough, wins the game.
All right, good stuff. Thanks, Hearthstone. This deck's not a problem. Moving on to the next game. Game 2. Mayan gets his Paladin through and
Unsurprisingly,
has
what do you
Rogue and
say?
Warlock left in the stable up against, of course, Bill's full stable of Druid, Rogue, Demon Hunter.
I enjoyed hearing stable twice in 10 seconds.
Well, thank you.
It's good
I
work.
thought it was an underutilized word.
So let's see what we got coming up next. Mayan is going to try and get the zoo through now, and as I mentioned before, I think the zoo into the Soul Demon Hunter is probably the best way of doing it, though not when you have 2 Shard Shadow Mystics in the opening hand.
Absolutely what Soul DH likes to see against Warlock, at least one of them, as long as you can get frags a deck and clear up a big board.
Yep, so just got to get one of those Soul Fragment activators, the Spirit Jailer, which we do see in Mayan's hand, or the Soul Shear.
Keeping the golden mystic, always the
Yeah.
right play.
Yeah, you got to flex. These are not fragments. This hand just got worse with this
Yep.
mulligan.
This hand
Which-
is reliant on fragments being in the deck. Currently, it is a 4-mana 3/2 and 5-mana 5/5s.
Well,
There we
there
go.
There are fragments, but they are expensive ones.
Spectral Consume, Dreadlord's Bite being offered here.
Yeah, I think it's got to be Consumatic just to try and draw into something a bit better.
Something like a Soul Shear would be especially helpful with the current hand. Relentless Pursuit, on the other hand, you could coin it out and you could kill this Dark Glare.
Yeah, using the coin in this scenario is it's really
Not
rough
what you want,
with
yeah.
this hand costing as much mana as it does. But that is a spirit, that is a soul fragment, which allows the mystic to be coined out on the following turn.
Very nice pickup for Bill here. Was presented with a really difficult choice whether or not to use the coin for pursuit instead of possibly the plan for coin slicer into Mystic. Jailer just makes all those problems go away.
Absolutely, but rigging horror at
Although
least
this
adds
pickup,
some complexity to that problem, to that idea. And now there will at least be something remaining on the board to deal with the 3/2 body left behind. And I think I'd like to see this all go face, as Soul Demon Hunter is not the anti-aggro deck it once was.
yeah, and Mayan just pushing that damage here. Bill, decision point time.
I mean, it's got to be coin 4-drop kill a Dark Glare, but there are two scenarios there. This skull is almost never being outcast for BillSnyder.
I feel like this Relentless Pursuit kills the minion you want to kill, and then you can value trade. I mean, you play the 3/2, it gives you a 3/2 and leaves your opponent with a 2/1, but like you could just play it next turn, and hopefully they don't play the 4-mana 5/5 rush, draw 3 cards. Perhaps that's being a little too hopeful. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
We know he doesn't have it, but
it's quite a complex corner. I think there's 3 viable plays here, but I think this is perfectly acceptable. Getting the weapon up, getting more fragments in the deck, and saying that the Mystic is going to remain good throughout this game. However, now that only 2 minions have died from Mayanadon, this is a pretty optimal raise dead, getting back a Dark Glare and a Wriggling Horror, and allowing him to fit in a Spirit Jailer on top of things after a tap. These giants are going to be getting quite cheap, although we have not yet seen one.
I like the thought of potentially drawing Hand of Gul'dan if you're Mayanadon. That card's pretty good.
Yes, that card is pretty key to winning games, but
All right. Well, if we decide to play the 5/5 with Rush, which is also pretty good, perhaps drawing Hand of Gul'dan is not exactly what you want. I mean, he has the refill with Raise Dead, so he can probably get away with
so
playing a 5/5, but it also just gets punched. So
It's a bit of a tough decision there. I do like this move from Mayan to go ahead with the Raise Dead and just get these minions back on the board. It's still a problem for the Demon Hunter.
it is, but I just feel like it doesn't quite make the full use of the Dark Glare.
Bill holding back that weapon swing rather than full clearing the board here, but 3/2 takes care of the most dangerous portion.
I think we will probably see the 5/5 come down here The expired merchant is not doing anything really with this hand. It's fine to discard it. You can get a couple more soul fragments in the deck and just keep chipping away at Bill's life total, which is important when there is no sign of healing currently in the hand, with both Warblades still hidden in the deck. And Bill's hand is getting very clunky at the moment.
Yeah, usually seeing these 5/5s on 5 is
Draw
pretty
3
good, but
cards.
against this zoo that has a 5/2 on the board and you pressuring you down, it's not exactly what you're looking for. Probably the second Shard Shatter is
Yeah,
more
Bill
so.
did not hit the 1 in 22 or 1 in 23 out there to find the other Mystic right off the top. That would have been amazing
or the Blade
here.
Dance.
Or Blade Dance.
True, actually.
Yeah, there were two very good outcomes there, but did not hit either of them. So now the question is, do you just throw down Lapidary, send it face, potentially take another 9 damage? Do you use Relentless Pursuit purely as healing, but waste 9 damage into a 5/2?
There it
if
is.
if it hadn't been nerfed, that would have been the perfect draw.
Well, there's some logic here to just going Relentless Pursuit and pushing 10 face.
I
Yeah,
would
think
love to see 10 go to face.
yeah, I think that is in fact
Everything, the
plan.
minions are dying next turn. And putting 10 damage into a 2 HP minion,
Just doesn't
that
feel
seems a little
fantastic.
excessive.
Yeah, and mine can now just dump the entire hand. Play the Canrathod, play the Jailer, Soulfire face, discard nothing and tap. But life total's getting close for both of these players.
It looks like that's what we are going to see, and that would open up the possibility for the second Soulfire off the top to just be lethal. So the whole question here is, the whole hand is being played. It's just, do you tap first, or do you play Soulfire first? Normally, you always tap first, but Soulfire does add some interesting depth to that question. And
If he
looks like we're seeing
believes that
Soulfire
hand of
first.
Gul'dan is there, you tap first.
Yeah.
And
the
that,
hand of
I've seen it
Gul'dan.
happen, but
Going for the lethal out. I like it.
Oh, and it
yep,
was
there it
the hand of
is.
Gul'dan.
There it is.
Punished
That was a huge punish.
for Mayan there. But, I mean, Hand of Gul'dan can be played for full mana to dig for the Soulfire out, which would still be lethal. 1 mana exactly left over.
Alright, let's see
Going
what's in the
for it.
box.
He's going for the lethal again.
Does pick up some crucial healing.
Does not find it, though.
You must consider whether 11 versus 13 is any different, because tapping and then dying because of it would be suboptimal.
Yep.
Not
It would.
tapping. Okay, this is reasonable. I'd like to see a 5/5 that deals 5 come down. Although I suppose you could like play militia. It kind of sets up lethal. If your opponent doesn't like play a board, play a broomstick, or top deck Soulfire and kill you. But I think playing Lapidary works
Yeah,
quite well as
just
well.
Lapidary now. Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and as far as BillSnyder is concerned, the difference between 4 and 3 is negligent, so he can safely ignore this 1/1. Because the only thing he's concerned about is Soulfire. As Tour Guide isn't a demon, he's not worried about Minori Mosha come down. And the 2 copies of Wicked Whispers would not set up lethal either. It's got to be the Soulfire.
All right, so Mayan's still digging.
The Nightshade Matron plus the Minari Mosher cannot be played because it will discard the lifesteal minion, and we're gonna
Yeah,
hope
and
that Demon Hunter doesn't have 2 damage.
well, this is yeah. I mean, this is the only line that mine could take, but we could see obviously that Bill has his game locked up.
Oh, skull off the top. That's insane.
We
Oh.
always rip the skull. Oh, I guess we win the game.
I suppose that's okay too.
I like the golden cane as well from Bill. Nice style it on him with the victory. And that evens up this series 1-1.
And that is also notably probably the Zoo's best matchup on BillSnyder's side out the way. The aggressive stealth rogue, not the best matchup because it generally wins that particular race against a deck with no taunts. And the druid can just go either which way. But never mind the zoo. We got a rogue mirror, though it's not a mirror of archetypes. Wall kick rogue versus stealth weapon rogue. And how do you think this matchup goes?
I've got to give it a slight edge to the weapon rogue. It's just so fast. And
Especially if it
Bill
has a
picking up that
self-sharpening sword.
sword in the opener and an infiltrator. This is damage and card draw in hand for Bill.
If I were Mayanadon, I would skillfully get 2 Titanic lackeys or a shoot lackey and a Titanic lackey off of my miscreant. I don't want value lackeys; they don't do anything. Otherwise, I don't know. He
Or
can try and go wide on the board and also clear minions, but
I
big
think the most
sword goes
skillful,
face. So
quite a skillful play is get both one Thieves giving frostbolts.
Yes,
Or arcane
skillfully
explosions.
find freeze and taunts.
Yes. That's the way to play this matchup.
Very
So
smart.
the big decision point here is, does Foxy Fraud play Swindle or does it play Miscreant?
it appears it plays Swindle.
Or how
It
about
could
both?
still play Miscreant.
I like playing Miscreant as well.
It looks
I
like
can
mine
only
agrees.
assume that is what's going down.
Oh. Well,
Oh.
not this turn at least.
We're gonna do some mana cheating next turn. It would look like. Hope for some good
Speaking of which,
lackeys.
That's a lot of mana cheating.
Alright, let's see Titanic Lackeys. Though, well,
Oh,
got one of them.
Mine
one of them.
skillfully picking up a Titanic lackey.
And of the value lackeys, Ethereal Lackey is the best one.
yeah. That's a shoot lackey if you get a backstab. Or anything else really. Rogue spells are pretty good.
Yeah, I don't think there's any need to play the Titanic Lackey just yet. Can use the Brain Freeze and the Prize Plunderer to just lock down the board for the time being. Or indeed just play the Ethereal Lackey. Secret Passage is quite a good card. You play that in your deck to begin with.
There are 2 cards offered that are just not very good. And
And
one
of
that
them got
is...
taken.
Oh, interesting.
I guess
could've
the
chose-
argument there is the Secret Passage is there's already one in the hand. But
Yeah.
I think Rogue would play 3 Secret Passages.
There's
they
Daring
could.
Escape, which takes all your minions off the board and loses you tempo. We could
That
have
sounds pretty good.
chosen that, but I don't know. It's a secret, so it makes Bill think, I wonder what the secret is. Does
And
he
do
know
I
it?
care?
Will do nothing probably. Yep, exactly.
It's not totally irrelevant as a secret, though, because he knows he's getting hit in the face with minions and can potentially just use the minion that he gets as a copy from the Shadow Clone to send damage right back Bill's way. But overall, still a bit surprised by the choice. questing, however, a very nice top deck with this much mana cheat.
The Shadow Clone is also quite good with the prep, given that you don't have a spell you want to play with it.
Right, so now there's a lot of question marks for BillSnyder. One is, what is the secret? And two is, how do I deal with the questing adventure? We do see the sap, which is more of a temporary solution than a permanent one. But it's currently the only answer which deals with the imminent 5/5 on the board. And if that doesn't get dealt with, he might die.
Yeah, and Bill's turn, I mean, it's not bad lining up right here to go Sap, Scimitar, Dread Corsair, if he wanted to. Greyheart Sage also active for draw to start digging.
Checking for the Bamboozle, which would be an interesting choice, given that he gave the taunt to the 1/4, but still, it could have been.
Yep, sap is going to come down, as well as the Scimitar and the Dread Corsair. But, like I said, this is a temporary solution. When the questing comes straight back down, gonna struggle to deal with that, so long as it becomes over a 4/4, which I'm sure it will.
Bill holding back the Dread Corsair too. Looks like the secret did do enough here just to delay Bill, thinking, I don't want to give him all this if it's plagiarized, so held the Dread Corsair.
Plus, there's also the argument that because Whirlkick's such a reactive deck, you don't want to give a player who you know has a questing adventure in their hand stuff to react off of and to play cards. And that is another taunt.
Also fair. Wow. More taunts and
This-
stats.
This seems good.
Yep, so that is a big taunt, which is only going to get bigger. As well as just a very important 2 health there. So now even with something
Bill's
like
list does
Deadly
run 2
Poison,
saps.
there are 2, but you've already seen 1.
Okay, Secret Passage is a card, and it always finds you exactly what you're looking for. This is also a card that does kill the questing adventurer.
It does. It kind of hurts, but I think it's the only avenue here.
Yeah, you'd dig with Sage if you hadn't drawn Krasinov, but given the Krasinov pickup, I think you just have to clear this questing.
Yeah, I mean, could choose to go wide, try and dig with the Sage, but Bill agrees it's got to be the Krasinov here. Buff up this weapon. Get it torn down. And those are cards that man really would have liked to hit off the secret passage rather than draw.
Yeah, this
I
hand
think
is very awkward for Mayan. Passage
It's got to be
again.
the passage. Now imagine if that secret had been a secret passage instead, because that secret's done nothing.
Well, it hasn't done completely nothing. I mean, it did kind of delay Bill slightly in some ways and made him concerned.
To be fair, Cats,
But
that is a draw. If there is something like a Cartoot Defender or a Winged Guardian that comes out of here, there
Or
isn't.
a 2-drop and a 1-drop to fill out your curve, along with
everything is completely playable, at least for Mayan here. He could just jam everything from hand right now.
Yep, and that is exactly what's going to happen. Mayan's going to keep control of the board, but really going to be hoping that there's something which allows these prize plunderers in the hands to be playable. And he is going to get maybe a 2/1 stealth off of this 2-mana secret.
Ooh, that's some value. 2 turns later, get a 2/1 with stealth for 2 mana,
Which would have had stealth anyway,
which would have had
without the secret.
exactly. It's like Mirror Entity, but like slightly delayed.
Wow, look at this value.
Spicy.
Nailed it. Well,
All right, so
BillSnyder,
Bill throwing out stealth and damage on the board.
Yeah, so I think this is this is play everything.
This does
Yes.
look like
Yeah. Yeah, just dump your hand.
okay. Play everything, but
Well,
the,
I mean, you need board space, yeah, so the way this was set up, couldn't play the final card to get Edwin bigger.
there is a possibility that BillSnyder does kill him.
Perhaps it was better to trade a cat instead of pushing one to get an 8/8 Edwin and another 2/1 on the board.
I mean, it looks like the game is gonna end here. Either Bill kills
Yeah.
Mayanadon or he dies.
But
So
yeah.
This self-up sharpening sword probably needed to come out a few turns ago. It never really lined up for Bill that it would be a better turn at the time to do it, but because it's such a slow card, which is I think why people maybe prefer the stealth versions with the scimitars rather than just the weapon version with the blade dancer, steel dancer even.
I'm slightly confused. Oh, he's trading.
I think
see.
Bill just sees that there's really no way that he's finding 5 damage from 2 mana here.
Yeah. It would have to be 2 activated
So
poisons.
going 1 off lethal and saying Maya never has 1 additional damage from hand,
Okay, this
which
is
as it
really
happens, he does not.
Well, let's see what happens here from this secret passage. Is Inara from Jandis?
I don't think we go for the. Although I would be thrilled to see a Moonfang just for fun if he ripped the J bar looking for that high roll.
Gets the second passage.
Oh wow.
Sap is not it. Poison, very good.
Deadly
See a
poison is excellent.
this is the miracle that we were looking for.
Well, we have seen both
Oh wow.
backstabs already be played.
Oh,
Sorry, both eviscerates already be played.
Sap to
true.
corrupt the nitro boost.
Hmm.
Now we're at 11. Secret passage needs to find 4 more damage on 2 mana.
That seems not
And it
possible.
finds
That's
it.
2, and
Oh, it
that's
does seem possible
6.
with this is the possibility.
Wow.
And that does
And
it.
yeah, Rogue just, I mean, looking awful from Bill's side in that matchup for like a couple turns there, where it just looked like, how does it find this victory? And then just, passage into draw into other passage into more damage, and all of a sudden, boom, there's the burst.
Yeah, so I think the 8/8 Edwin would have made all the difference there because it was not a value trade into 2/3/1s, crucially. And if the Cat had been traded off to allow the prize plunderer, that would have put an extra damage in play as well. And as it turned out, one damage was all the difference.
Very true. So, unfortunate for Mayan that the order went the way it did. Bill's still very unlikely, I think, to win that game, but Weapon Rogue can do some crazy things and picks it up. Now Mayan back against the wall, and Bill needing just 1 more victory.
Yep, with this druid.
Doing the classic turn 1 nature studies into turn 2 fungal fortunes, unnerfing the fungal fortunes.
Or we could just see a turn 2 runic carvings.
Yeah,
doesn't
that's
seem
pretty
too bad.
nutty.
That is also an option.
Turn 2 8/8 with rush.
Yeah, who needs to have a turn 3 anyway?
Turn 3's overrated.
Just overload by 6.
Well, if you're going to overload by 3, you might as well overload by 6.
Right?
I assume the... not going for that. Probably is going for a single lightning bloom into Force and Nature the following turn.
Taking
And
a a calmer, more measured approach. I kind of wanted to see just the mega overload rushers, though.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been funnier. Probably worse, though.
The fireworks, though. But yeah.
Ron always plays for fireworks. Never for wins.
If I'm Bill, I like the idea of making 3/3s with rush, but that means you have to do nothing this turn. So maybe you don't actually want to do that.
Yeah, that seems incredibly slow. And this is kind of, I think, the problem people found with the Treant oriented version. It can be a bit slow, and when you do not run Broom, it's really unreactive. Like, Runic Carvings is the only thing in your deck with Rush, and Lunar Eclipse is the only thing which is removal. So without those 4 cards, you kind of just do nothing a lot of the game. So this is quite an awkward position to be in. And this is, yeah, looks like he might be going for the 3/3s with Rush later down the line.
Interesting decision to hit the Dark Glare. I guess hedging for the Dark Glare possibly getting buffed
Oh, but that is
from a
hand to
Wicked
pull down.
Whispers.
So tapping before the Minari Mosha to get the extra buff rejection on the Flesh Giant. And let's see what exactly Bill is going for with this hand. Bloom, Runic Carvings.
Here's Carvings. Big pickup with the Aeroponics as well.
Bloom. See, weirdly enough, I don't actually think the Bloom Power of the Wild did that much for his position. I think 2/2s did much of the same job. And now he's gonna have 1 mana going into turn 5.
Oh, he'll have none,
0.
right? Oh,
Yeah. 'Cause he summoned them with rush.
he
So
did double
double-
bloom there
double-
and the rush.
Yep.
Just full on pass turn 5.
Yep.
I feel like
With
trading against token druids is good, but also they are doing literally nothing next turn, so
and they have 16
don't have-
health.
that's true.
Oh wait, no, it was in fact a full overload. The Runic Carvings.
Yeah, all
Plus 2
those mana
aggro as
crystals
well.
are locked.
Right, so let's see. Dark Glare, Raise Dead, Dark Glare, Flame Imp.
This is gonna be quite the turn, I have a feeling.
Yep. So no, you gotta Raise Dead first. What is this? Yeah, so that's a slight sequencing thing. Lost out on 1 mana if this does give another Dark Glare, which it does.
There is the Dark
Yeah.
Glare, always punished.
Always punished. So we can see a free Dark Glare tap come. Yeah, this
Not
is
tapping as well. Hopefully he
this-
plays the broomstick to make it look like he did this on purpose.
yeah, that was a bit of a messed up turn. The the Prune just gonna
There
come
we
down
go.
to make
The
it look
broom-
like it was
We wanted
intentional.
the 1/1 over the card.
It was planned. Needed to go as wide as possible.
Of course.
Absolutely.
He looks like he's 1 damage off lethal currently.
All right, so Bill, fresh off of being overloaded, overloads again.
Yep. And if Mayan had Dark Glare and got that free tap last turn, would have won the game. So it just goes to show how tricky Dark Glare sequencing can be. But you get a lot of free mana.
I mean, I don't think it's all that likely that Mayan loses the game from this position anyway.
No.
But it is true that had he done the sequencing differently, this would already be over.
Yes. Just well, there's the concede anyway. We're gonna go to a game 3 here, and Mayan's Zoo does get out the way, and we're gonna go to Well Kick Rogue versus Treant Druid. And so far, the Druids looked a little iffy.
Yeah, Druid has definitely felt uncomfortable here, but Bill has Demon Hunter and with the Rogue already. Mine, of course, scamming early with the Paladin and picking up that Zoo Warlock victory. So the best words in Hearthstone brought to you here today. Game 5.
Oh yeah, that is a turn 3 summon 3 2/2s, draw 2 cards. If Bill wants to go for it, he does not. I think going for. See, this is the issue with the Trent Druid. I'm not sure exactly what you are going for. Is it Overgrowth? Is it Fungal Fortunes?
I guess
what's
the
the power
main
turn?
thing is you're looking for the Glowfly board. So you want to
suppose.
get just an early massive board flood of Glowflies.
I'm looking
3
at this.
mana draw 3 is pretty good as well.
It is. I'm looking
True.
at this hand from Mayanadon. We got the cat. We got the prep swindle. All this really needs is a foxy. The 5-drop, not really what you're looking for. But Bill's going to get some mana going for the time being.
I like this play from Bill. It is a little bit funny to me that he has just non-stop overloaded over like all of his last turns with Druid.
Yeah, that's what Druid does. Apparently.
Yep.
Overload.
You didn't know it was the overload class?
We all did. But mine's just going to draw 4 cards instead, and so fine.
Yeah, spend 2 mana, draw 4, seems good.
And I think a lot's going to come down to how do these lackeys stack up. If we've got some reactive lackeys, some kobold lackeys, or some goblin lackeys, I think mine will be in a very good position. If he gets a lot of dragon lackeys, he might be struggling to come back onto the board somewhat. So this prize plunder shadow step is going to do a lot in this matchup.
Very true. Bill offered some awkward options here off of the nature studies. There isn't anything really all that good feeling for the Druid, just opts for the Nourish.
Hope to draw some good cards off of the Nourish, although he has to skip his entire turn, more or less, next turn in order to play it.
And Rogue under 0 pressure and just picking up a questing adventure off the top, already coin and shadow step in hand.
Yeah,
You just
shadow step cat seems pretty good here.
you just
if
go
you get
for it.
something like a Mermy, just coin that out straight away. But
Or
no,
a
it's Colossus at the move.
Could
We've seen
just
plenty
throw
of-
out the coin anyway, just to get the questing out of range of bees. But bees in a hero power would kill it anyway, I suppose.
Bees is also not in the deck, so they would have had to. They would have had to randomly.
Right. Well, he
bees
knows
off
that
just
nature
now.
studies just got picked. Just saying, there's multiple things. I suppose anything could. Yeah, let's Starfire clears that.
This looks like the top deck that I would want to play.
Yes.
You could have gained 2 mana, then play this. So yeah, Bill's got a lot of draw cards and not a lot of play minions.
So usually you play the draw cards in order to get the play minions, but when you get the draw cards into the draw more cards, then it's difficult to win.
Double Lunar could be an option. Does
It's
not
not.
find the second one.
Oh
Can't
my.
deal with the questing. And oftentimes that just locks out games on its own.
Yep, it does.
Thing against Druid though is the one class, okay, maybe not class, deck where the questing maybe you don't lose. Like if he just goes in buffing questing and doesn't go wide, and then he just plays a board of glowflies, and then you take like 15 from questing, but then you just play Savage Roar, Solar Eclipse Savage Roar, and then the game's over. But obviously, not an option. No glowfly swarm in hand. Not really.
Finally draws something which will put minions on the board, but is it just too late? I think Mayan Has quite an awkward hand there because the coin was used. The miscreant's just a little bit stranded.
Looks like
So
he's
we
gonna
might see it get
backstab
backstabbed.
his minion. Yep. Or even better, Plunderer, while it doesn't deal damage to your own minion.
I think I like the Lackey. Having the extra mana for possibly Spell Lackey.
Oh, Spellman.
All right.
There it is.
Shadow Step.
Find Shadow Step, win game.
Betrayal is
Didn't
actually
find it.
fantastic against 2/2 Trians. There is the swarm.
I think you have to play the Swarm and buff it and hope you live. I don't think you have an option.
You never live.
Yeah, that's the thing. But you also can't
I
really
don't think
interact with this
I don't
questing.
think there is any other line here available
Yeah.
to Bill.
Bill needed the top decked either, well, pretty much just the top decked rush card.
Yeah, so it looks like this is going to be a lethal with the double eviscerate and the Cobalt Lackey. And this series is going to be taken by Mayanadon 3-2.
And we see the concede from Bill. So very close all around. Mayan picking up just a 3-2. A lot of it was on the back of the questing.
Yeah, Druid has historically just been horrendous into questing adventure. Like, it's always struggled against just a big minion like an Edwin or a questing coming out early on. And, you know, they did the dirty to Keeper of the Grove, which was their only answer historically. And ever since then, and Naturalize being Hall of Famed, it's just if you play a big minion early, the Druid dies. That's just how it goes. Bill was pretty unfortunate there to not get basically anything which put minions on the board for about 6 turns. But I would also put that to the deck being pretty slow in its construction. There was just nothing in the early game, and
True.
He did throw away the possibility of a turn 3 Force of Nature Aeroponics, which might put him in a pretty good position. I think.
Hey, welcome, Mayan. Congrats on the win.
Thank you. Some weird games there. Definitely made some errors, but worked out in the end. So can't complain, I guess.
Yeah, you just beat up on the Druid and it works out.
Yep. Yeah, I guess that was the plan all along. Totally didn't want to beat up on anything else, but it worked out. So what can you do?
We really enjoyed that game 1. It was some pretty skilled Hearthstone from your part.
Oh yeah, totally skilled Hearthstone game 1. Yeah, I felt bad going in that hard. I feel like Corbin and I, we're good buddies, and I just feel like when we play, sometimes things don't go his way usually. Unfortunately, I think we're equivalent players. I think he's a great player, so just sometimes it doesn't roll his way. So I felt bad with that, but I could not do it. So what can you do?
Yeah, when you have a Lyra coin, I mean, that's what you do. It's what the deck is built for.
Yeah. So I mean, it worked out. I got coin. I think I got coin most of those games, which definitely worked out in my favor. But yeah, I don't know.
There were some. I think there were some bits in the Zoo Rogue game which was, but there was a bit iffy with some dark lair sequencing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I definitely had some awkward turns, and I think just some weird like draws that were throwing me off, and just making things a little awkward. I don't know if you saw my kind of hover. I had that Soulfire that one game.
Yeah,
and I was like,
do I go for the lethal or do I go for the draw?
Right, exactly. And I just couldn't find that other Soulfire, but kind of feels bad when you draw the discard there right after the Soulfire. But what can you do?
That was like a 2 in 15 or something.
Yeah,
like
I mean,
that.
it was probably the right call to do it the order I did it in if I was gonna go with that. I probably could have held back that turn though. That was something I was also thinking about. But he didn't seem to have the second Lapidary, so he just drew it. Sorry, at that turn anyway. But
the Lapidary had been there the whole time.
Oh, was it?
He was holding 2 Lapidaries all game.
He was just holding it. Okay, I just totally misread then. I thought he didn't have it. I felt like I had enough pressure several turns, and he just didn't play it. So
Well,
I
hey,
went
I
in, but
I liked your line. I liked going for the lethal. We always dump the hand, Soulfire face, tap into
yeah,
Soulfire, win the game.
easy. Yeah, it was
it just didn't
obviously gonna
happen.
happen. I thought after game 1, it was just bound to happen. So.
Well, what were your thoughts on the rogue mirror and how that went down?
I think I could have played that one better. To be honest,
Were
I
you
think
expecting to die?
I was looking at his deck list since this is pro, so I have the open deck list, and
Mhm.
I was like, he has to be able to cycle and be able to get these. I mean, he has enough damage if he gets the nitro boosts and the deadly poisons. I was like, okay, if he gets all 4 of those, but he didn't have the draw the turn before, so it had to come, after that, and then he got the draw into more draw, and got there in the end. But I had it in the back of my mind, but there was really nothing I could do to prevent it. So I was like, what do I need to do this turn? I didn't have lethal. I was 1 off. I don't know if I missed 1 damage somewhere. I probably did.
We were actually
I-
debating on that a little bit. When you played the Edwin, go ahead, Rebop.
Yeah, I think if you had traded off a Pharaoh Cat to get down the Plunderer before you played the Edwin, making 8/8, but then the 2/3 couldn't have traded into it. He would have had to sink 4 damage from the Eviscerate into the Edwin, which, as well as you would have had an extra
Yeah.
damage on the board from the Plunderer over the Cat, and it also might have bought you an extra turn, the turn that you did die. So I think just making the 8/8 to contest the 2/3 might have been the slightly better play there.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Thinking back,
very
and you're
small
you're
margins.
probably right. Might have been the difference that game for sure.
Who knows? But you still got there in the end. It was a fantastic series after game 1, obviously.
Yeah. Game 1 was not really a game. That was like moving on.
That just happened.
And that's why you bring that deck, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It just
I
wins.
even brought the older version too, which I think is probably worse in this matchup, but still got the combo. So had the coin, had Allura, and then I mean I had Wandmaker
GG.
too, so it wasn't like dead in the water, but he had pretty good board there. I think that turn before, so it was like perfect timing with the coin for me.
Yeah. Even if you had drawn the 2 Crab Riders, it just did not matter at all.
Hmm.
It was just game over. Let's move on.
Okay, next one.
Our commentary
But yeah,
added
so I
very
think
little to
that puts us ahead, right? Our team. So I think we're in a
It
It
good
does. Going into
situation.
this, it was 6-5 actually in favor of your team. So now you have a 10-7 lead with this victory.
All right, I'll take that. I mean, this is definitely some of our biggest competitors in the conference. So to be able to get a win this week would be big for our position for the playoffs. I feel like if we win here, we're in pretty good shape.
Yep, I think so. Smash it.
Yeah,
And-
it might come down to Wet Goose over C-Mac. Heat Shock and Zabe. Zabe is in the unenviable position of trying to dethrone the undefeated in pro and leading in crossover player stats Heat Shock, who's only lost once all THL season.
Wow.
Jesus.
Well, I think Zabe can do it.
But yeah, if anyone can do it, I trust Zabe.
Believe in Zabe.
Gotta
Believe
believe
in
in
Zabe.
Zabe. The only good thing to come this week is I can say on our team I'm even with Mick at least, so on our records, so I can feel good about that because he's an incredible player.
Hey,
so I can have
You're
that.
now going even with your record, and I think any season where you're going at least even is pretty good.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever. I might be wrong. Someone can look back, but I don't think I've ever gone less than even. I think that's like the worst I've ever done was even in any series. But someone might have to look back. I really don't think I've had a losing season though.
Oh, no one's gonna fact check you. Go
Someone's
crazy with your claims.
Welcome
Make
to fact
outlandish
check.
claims.
This is I think the worst I've done in a pro series of all time, and I'm still
Love to hear
even.
it.
So I'll take it.
Love to hear it.
Beautiful. So, congrats, man.
Thank you.
You'll be rooting on the rest of your team. And before we go, guys, do we have any announcements to make? Ron or Lotus, whoever is in charge of
There
talking.
is a match tonight, so just so everyone knows, Saku has organized 2 crazy matches, so you can continue seeing this match with Heatshock versus Honest Abe. That's at 8 p.m. and it is as hype as it sounds. And that is going to be followed by Anfal from the Zilfs versus Ducharmo for Dad Legend, which I think is another great match. Ducharmo has been on a tear this season.
Gotta root for the Zilfs. Got it.
Those
are going to be some fantastic matches.
No bias for Rebobson over here. Sure.
It's more fun when casters are biased, I believe.
Well,
naturally.
These are going to be some great matches. Saku, I'm not sure who exactly is casting, otherwise I would shout them out here. But
I might be. So, I'm
okay.
here. You can shout me out. I think I might be Tuna. We'll see. I think he might not today, but
yeah. So hopefully you'll catch
we'll see.
Mayan and Tuna. That would be a very hype cast. That being said, I want to take this opportunity to thank everyone who was here today. First, I have to thank all the players, so Based, Griff, JR, TacoCat, BillSnyder, and Mayanadon. Thank you for playing on stream. If you're interested in playing on stream this next week, you can DM me if you want to play it in any of Schoolstone times. We have noon to 5 p.m. on either Saturday or Sundays, and we'll be happy to take matches at any level. If you would like other time, you can DM me and I'll direct you to the right person, or you can DM Donde or Saku if you know who's the person responsible for that time slot. I want to thank all the casters here. We had quite the crew, so I want to thank Rebob, Ron, and AgentPWE for joining me for this crazy set of matches. I think this was a really good stream.
Beautiful.
Oh, there were a lot of fun ones for sure.
Yeah. And that being said, I believe this is it for us this week. We'll see you later. Catch the Sunday night streams, or you can see me and Ron on Tuesday. THL has shows for you every day. I'm sure you know the schedule by now. We'll see you later.
Bye, guys. Have a good one.
Take care, everybody.
See ya.